Okay, ladies and gentlemen, episode 2 of our podcast. We're here with Josh Parise. Josh, I've known you for how many years now? 5 years?
Probably something around there.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Josh is a man of many talents.
Oh boy.
It's
Jack of all
trades. A lot of things that nobody seems to understand, but he seems to do very well.
I do my best at the worst possible situations. Yeah.
So, just
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're gonna have a little bit of Maker's Mark bourbon while we're having this podcast.
Did you get that sponsorship yet?
We didn't get a sponsorship yet. We're still working on that.
Yeah.
But so just as a recap, since it's our second podcast, and to let you know what we're all about here, this is it's a business and entrepreneurial podcast. Anybody that's done any sort of social media marketing probably has seen the millions of people. Apparently being an entrepreneur is the cool thing to do now.
Is it?
Yeah. So everybody wants to do it, and everybody says that they are.
I wish I'd have known that.
Yeah. Who knew? We did it because we had to, and now it's like the cool thing to do. So the thing that's frustrating, I think, for most entrepreneurs, though, is to see all the people on social media that are coming up with these, like, how easy it is to be a business owner and how you can work 3 hours
the video
a day.
series of watch my video and we can show you how to be a millionaire, and
Right.
and the Tony Robbins of our time. Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, so buy my ebook and
Right.
I'll teach you how to be a millionaire.
Exactly.
So this is kind of an insight as to what it's really like to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
About the hard work and the grind, but also the fun stuff, the bourbon, the cigars, the fun stuff.
Yeah.
We'll talk about all the stuff we're interested in because I think we have a lot in common. So
other than being incredibly handsome, yes, and we have
sure
we have that.
yeah, we definitely have that in common.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, so that's basically the idea of the podcast. What? Let's tell us a little bit about Josh.
Hit me with it. I am the last of the Renaissance men, apparently, because anyone under the age of 30 now watched Pokemon, where I watched MacGyver and A-Team. So, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, man. It's like I just I find something entertaining. It entertains me. I move with it, and I see what it'll do. My guidance counselor and I never agreed. Mrs. Park, I still love you, but yeah, you were wrong. I was actually slated to be an attorney. That was my path in life. I know, right?
Buddy. I do not have the temperament.
No, I don't have the temperament. I'll take a flamethrower at this. No. So that wasn't exactly my calling. I raised by a single mom, so I just kind of had to do everything. God bless her. I mean, she and I don't agree religiously or politically, but she's still wonderful, and she basically turned me into a man, and I think I'm going to get ripped for that, like, because being a man right now, being a white heterosexual male right now is a tough spot to be in, apparently.
How dare you?
So,
how dare you?
Yeah, I don't know, like, I raised by a single mom, and and she turned me into a man. All of her brothers were World War II veterans, so I grew up around men, and that's not taking anything away from the really strong women that made me the man I am, but she just, at the age of 13, I was already doing concrete and fixing roofs and stuff like that. So, like, I remember one night my mom and I had a conversation. I say conversation. I was basically like, I'm going to be home at 1. And she was like, you'll be home at 10. And I was like, that roof ain't going to fix itself. And I kind of watched her face kind of contort. And she was like, God damn it. And so, yeah, I don't know. I grew up in a different age. And I guess I can say that now, right? I'm old, I think. Right?
How old are you?
42.
42. You are old.
I'm old as shit.
And being that I'm 34, I can say that
you are. I'm officially
you're old.
Yeah. So I don't know. I grew up different. I earned every beating that my mother ever gave me, and I say beating in the worst sense. It was a deserved correction with physical aspects, and she just, like, I remember I was messing around at, like, a Hills. Remember Hills? Mm-hmm. All right, so I was at a Hills, like, department store.
Can you remember the smell?
Oh yeah, the toys. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Like, I'd go in the toy section and I was doing something stupid, and my mom was like, "I swear I'll pull your pants down right here and spank you." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever."
You won't do that.
Right? So I did what I was doing, and then 5 minutes later, I was like, "Oh my God, that bitch was serious." So you just, you learn, and like I have conversations with kids now talking about stuff, and they're like, oh, so your parents were abusive. And I'm like, well, the one I had did the best she could, and I outweighed her by the time I was 12. So, yeah. Yeah, I earned every corrective action ever taken against me.
It wasn't abusive.
It was
they disciplined you.
Right, a discipline. Yeah, and then
decent human being.
Exactly. I wouldn't say that.
She tried her best.
She tried her best. Yeah, God bless her. I always tell her that I'm like, what's it feel like, having the Antichrist come out of your womb? And she was like, Jesus. So yeah, I don't know, man. So like, as far as me, a little background or something, like, yeah, single mom, grew up.
Grew up around here?
Yeah, Fox Chapel. Well, O'Hara. I was there
Okay.
before the money. Woo woo. And so yeah, it was like went to St. Joe's on Dorseyville.
Okay.
It was too small. It got closed down. Then I got shuffled over to St. Mary's in Shaler. So I was there with all like the rich kids in a Catholic school. So it was kind of entertaining. I was the poor kid. So learned a lot of humility and stuff and whatnot. And then all of a sudden outgrew everybody and learned that violence wasn't always not the answer, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I totally grew up in a different time frame, which I'm very glad about. I'm glad there were no cell phones, that kind of stuff. No videos.
Things have changed. No podcasts.
I'd be in prison.
Yeah.
Like, no doubt. But yeah, so my mom always made us work. That was part of our thing. Like all my neighbors were contractors, construction workers, things like that. They all own their companies. So if we needed a roof done, that summer I went to work with a roofer, that kind of deal. So I grew up with a pretty solid work ethic because of my mom. And, high school, football, sports, that kind of stuff, did all that crap. Heavy into martial arts. Loved that stuff. Then got bored when I was supposed to play football and went to the Marine Corps instead, because I thought that was more entertaining. My first year of college, I was really bored. Like I
So you left school and went to the Marine Corps?
Yeah, it was awful, man. I went to Fox Chapel, which was like you get all the drugs you want, and things were different, and it was just and white privilege maybe, but I didn't know that it was just privileged, So I went there and had a great time, and by the time I got to college, I was putting like 24-year-old men to bed. I thought I'd get to college and be like Animal House, and I was like, let's do this. And I got there and I was like, this is boring.
Where'd you go to college?
Actually, I was supposed to go to Charleston Southern. I had an incident with a previous girlfriend who thought she might have had my baby. Just didn't work out. Anyway, so I stuck around Pittsburgh, and I went to art school down at Pittsburgh Tech. Okay. So I went for graphic design, and actually got an internship working graphic design at the same time I was going to school. Completely coincidental, like somebody had seen my artwork and they wanted me to work for them. So it wound up being like I'm a big universal synchronicity guy. Like shit happens because it's supposed to happen. So in the midst of this inner teenage angst turmoil of possibly having a pregnant girlfriend, it was I decided not to go play football in Charleston, and I decided to stick around Pittsburgh. And at the same time, a person had come up to me and seen some of my artwork and some of the stuff that had made broadcast stuff and publications, and he was like, "Hey, we want you to be down here." And so I was like, "Okay, cool." So I thought, the universe wants me to be a graphic designer. That'd be great. And didn't work out. I was wicked bored. And so then a good friend of mine decided he was going to the Marine Corps, and then 6 months later, I said, well, I can't have you one up me, because we were always the bigger dick, faster car guy, a hotter girlfriend. So I went to the Marine Corps and just decided to go see what that was all about, And I actually volunteered to go early so that I would be in the same battalion that he was, because I couldn't have him one up me.
Couldn't?
No, when we were in the Marine Corps, 1 through 3 for the Paris Islands where I went. 3rd Battalion is the toughest, fucking hardcore or whatever. And so I was slated for 2nd Battalion, and I left 3 months early so I could go to 3rd Battalion so I couldn't have my buddy one-up me. That type of deal. And the first words out of our DI's mouths were like, "You may not be smart, but you will be strong." And that was pretty amazing. I had no regrets about joining the Marine Corps. That was pretty amazing.
What year did you do that?
I was late 94 to like 98, 99, that era. Yeah, so I got out right before the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
Which also upset a lot of my guys. It's all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, after the Marine Corps, I actually met my wife while I was in the Marine Corps. She's pretty goddamn amazing.
The woman that doesn't age yet you do.
Oh no, she's a succubus. It's incredible. I do. You've seen the picture. You're like, who's that young boy with that Vanessa girl? Yeah, no, my wife's pretty goddamn amazing. She has a 10-second recovery, so it really works out relationship wise. Like I do stupid shit all the time, and she's mad for about 9.5 seconds, and then she's like, what do we do for dinner? I'm like, yeah, whatever you want, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm a hell of a cook, so it's okay. But yeah, met my wife when I was in the Marine Corps, and kind of jumped back and forth between coast to coast to figure out what I wanted to do. And then eventually wound up in LA back with her. She took a job at a law firm out in Los Angeles, and then basically freed me up to kind of do whatever I want to do. So I went from like doing guided horse tours at the ranch up at Sunset Ranch in Hollywood to like working on TV to working on oil rigs and just doing, I mean, everything. Like I never pass up an opportunity to have a good time. So it was like always entertaining, and one thing always leads to the next. Like when you look at your existence, it's pretty cool. Like when you look forward, you're like, man, that's a big mountain. But when you get up to the top of the mountain, it's just a straight line. You didn't know it. You know what I mean? You always think there's these twists and these turns and these like, curves, and you're like, oh, what am I going to do next? But when you look backwards, you're like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. You know, maybe some people don't feel that way. I've always felt that way. Like I live a charmed existence. Like I have like, everyone makes fun of me for having a golden horseshoe shoved up my ass, which I don't know. Like I really don't know my dad, so he could be Zeus or Poseidon or one of those. Like I don't know, you know, like I got some Percy Jackson syndrome going on. Like I don't know, but yeah, like it's always been one series of fortunate events after the other. So I don't know. I've always had a really, I mean, maybe that's a good attitude, and you know, my mom raising me properly, but it's just the next thing. So like, yeah, in LA started a couple of my own businesses and found a niche and just kind of rolled with it, and then kind of fell into things and never turned down the opportunity to try something.
Which is basically the last 5 years that I've known you.
Right. Yeah. You caught the tail end of me realizing I can do whatever I want.
Yeah. Have you ever had a job?
Yeah. Well, I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years.
Well, that's a job.
No,
right.
Seriously. So yeah, like I said, when I was 12, I started working when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And like basically my mom has always told me, she's like, can you use a broom? I'm like, yes, I can. She's like, well, everybody needs a broom guy.
Yep.
And that was it. And then I've really never been any place where it's taken me more than 6 months to drop the broom and start either leading a crew or running a company or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You just gotta have a certain kind of work ethic, and you gotta realize that it's not a failure. It's just the next step, and it's more of a challenge. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
oh, that fucking sucked. What do we do now?
Yeah.
You know, and you run into guys like that a lot now. Like all they can see is the end result of the failure, not the opportunity to do something about that.
That's really what this is all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Failing, you don't learn from success. You learn.
Well,
from
we have
failing.
a big thing in the martial arts. There's no losing. There's just learning. So there is no losing. I mean, yeah, it might suck, and you know, you get your ass chapped a little bit, and you're like, oh, fuck, what do I do? But if you have the internal, you know, you have the wherewithal, just be like, well, what do I do now? You know, like when my house burnt down, right?
Oh yeah,
that was fun, right? we were, and it morbidly liberating, I might say, because I had a lot of shit. I lost like $60,000 worth of Star Wars toys because I'm a big fanboy. Yeah, that Millennium Falcon was worth a lot of money, but I had just recently had my computer backed up at like Staples, like I had something fixed, and I walked in there like 2 days after the house fire, and I looked at this guy who had backed up my computer. I was like, hey man, do you guys do that whole thing where you like back up my files and then sell them to the FBI or something like that? And he's like, no. I'm like, that's a shame. You know, and like I'm laughing and I'm talking to him, and this woman behind me in line kind of figured out like what 2 and 2 that my house burned down, and she was like, did you lose your house? Are you the one that lost your house? And I'm like, yes ma'am, I did lose my house. And she was like, I don't understand, and you're just, how are you taking this so well? And she went on for like 3 minutes, right? And I'm just like, and I didn't know what to say. The guy behind the counter was saying, finally this beautiful woman behind her, who was probably like mid-60s or whatever, and she was just a wonderful human being. She looked at the lady and she goes, shut the fuck up. And I was like, thank you, ma'am. You know, because there's one of two things. You can either, and I guess that maybe that's a little Marine Corps in me, the compartmentalization. There's two options. My house burnt down. I can lay in a puddle and cry, or I can just do the next thing. So, and I think I've always taken that with my entire life, is like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
Which may be pathetic, because
No,
I may be butt poor and living under a bridge in 30 years. You never.
It might be. We might be there together.
Or we could get my war and I'll be a land baron. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah. No, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's just you can't look at failure and throw in the towel.
No,
you just have to, and that's what makes people like us different.
Right. And it's just like fighting with the martial arts. Like I've had my ass handed to me by really good people and people that probably shouldn't have handed me my ass. And then you just got to look at it and be like, all right, what do I do?
What did you do
now? Yeah,
How
what
do you
did I
fix
do
it?
and what do I do now? Yeah, exactly. And it's a matter of just finding the opportunity to move forward.
Yeah. So when I first met you, you had just moved back to Pittsburgh from
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. You were stationed there for the Marine Corps.
At Pendleton, yeah.
Yeah. And
Third tracks, whoop, whoop,
Yeah.
hoorah.
And whenever I met you when you first came back, and you had started your company, Urban Eden.
Urban Eden, yeah.
And you were doing hardscape landscaping.
Yeah.
So you did that for a while.
Yeah, well, I started with a company, Pittsburgh Pond and Stone, which I helped rebuild. That company had some structural problems, and
Keep in mind that the person that ran that might be listening.
Yeah, hey Stevie. Anyway, so yeah, there was some weird shit going on with that. So anyway, I will digress. I won't get into the details, but yeah, so ran it the way I wanted to run it. But that's a funny story. Like I walked up and I handed him my resume because we were from California, and like I had a pretty good savings, and I did some. You know, I made solid money out in California. I worked for television, I worked for TLC, and I worked for the oil rigs on Thumbs Island. So I was a supervisor out there.
Now, was that while you were in the Marine Corps?
No. That was after. That was right after. It was about 5 years after I got out of the Marine Corps. I just kind of stuck around. Well, like I said, we jumped, and then I went back to LA. And then when Vanessa was working at the law firm, basically I was like, I'm gonna go ride horses for a year, and she was like, I hate you. And I'm like, whatever, you know, because she made good cash, and I was like, look, I served my country. I get a week off, you know.
A week, 5
yeah,
years,
whatever it is. Yeah.
So finish with the pond.
Oh, okay. So
then I want to go back to the TLC and all that.
We'll get to that crap, right? Yeah. So I started. I walked into this place because we just bought this big ass house that I could afford, but I didn't understand that Pennsylvania didn't pay what Los Angeles paid. So I was like kind of burning through my savings, and I was like, shit, I got to figure something out. So I walked up to this landscape place, Kubrick's, and I met Johnny, and I was like, hey man, can I like dig holes or sweep? And he's like, I don't know if I can afford you. And I'm like, why? Because I'm not on drugs and, you know, and stuff. I was like, come on, man.
Pretty much.
I was like, dude, I'll work for like $8 an hour. I don't give a shit. Because like I even went down to Gatto and was like, dude, I'll sweep floors for $8 an hour. You know, like I don't give a shit because like there's nothing beneath me. I'm just gonna excel anyway. It doesn't matter. But I got to get in, right? You got to get your foot in the door. And I think that's a big problem with people today. We'll get to that college education thing in a minute. Yeah. But yeah, so Johnny told me, he goes, well, go see my brother because he's taking over that company. He might need some help. So I walked in there and I handed him my resume, and they basically took my resume and threw it in the trash. And then Steve came back later and he was like, who was that guy? And he pulled my resume out of the trash and was like, okay. And he read it and he was like, you know, the fuck? And then,
why are we hiring this guy?
Right. And somebody said, well, he's overqualified. And Steve was like, no, there's no such thing. If this dipshit's willing to work for $12 an hour, let's get this going. And within 6 months, I was the lead superintendent of the company. Basically took over, rebuilt the whole place, that kind of thing. So when that company closed down, I just started my own gig because I already had clientele and rock and roll. And basically, I'm the Ferrari of landscape. You don't need me. I do water features, waterfalls, aquatics, gardens, kois, ponds, pools. Like, you don't need me. So like, it's cool. So you put yourself in a niche and just I move forward from there. Then I started getting back into the martial arts aspect, and that's when I started the school, and then like crazy shit. So I don't know. And then like ever since then, and I've done a lot of work in Northside with the urban redevelopment and Alley down there with October Development, and they do a lot of the, you know, urban the beautification, you know, stuff, and it's just crazy. Like every 3 or 4 minutes something else comes up where it's like, hey Josh, do you want to do this? And I just kind of see what I want to do and then do it. You know, if it's entertaining, I do it. Yeah. And it's worked. Hence the golden horseshoe, I guess.
No, it's just you're willing to do anything.
I
will just do it.
Legitimately have a good time doing pretty much anything.
Yeah.
As long as I can have a good time doing it.
Right.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I've had jobs where I'm like, this blows dick. You know, but you're like,
yeah, but you got to do it.
Right. You just got to do it.
Yeah. 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 So when you were in California, you were in the Marine Corps till 98. Mm-hmm. When did you come back to Pittsburgh?
That fall, beginning of 99.
But you went back.
Yeah. So I went to Pittsburgh, was hanging out there for a hot minute, seeing my mom, and brought back my beautiful Filipino Mexican wife, which was a little too dark for my mother, but that's all right. She loves her anyway. And
she got over it.
Oh, yeah, it was wild. Like the first time I brought her home, she's like, oh, she's dark. I'm like, yeah, she is, Mom. She's great.
That's one way to put it, Mom.
She's great, yeah.
Thanks for that.
I'm like, I've gotten over.
She can hear you.
Yeah, no offense. Just don't date white chicks anymore, Mom. So it's okay, you know. But yeah, so we came back and then kind of figured out what we were doing. And then I went to Charleston, South Carolina for about 2 years. Opened up a company with my older brother. Did really well. That was awesome. Construction. We did residential remodel. The thing in Charleston was like a lot of companies were so they're bigger than the britches kind of deal. Everybody down there, same thing. The mom and pop companies, all of a sudden they get this big contract and they're like, oh, we can make billions. Great. But then they forget to actually give bids to the people that are willing to pay them $30,000, you know? So we found this really crazy niche in Charleston where it was like these huge companies, and they weren't huge. They were these companies that thought they were huge that wouldn't respond to the regular homeowner, and we'd go in and do $30,000, $40,000 worth of remodel work that these companies wouldn't touch because they wanted a $200,000 to $500,000 beach house that they want to build. And so there was this untouched market where we were like, fuck, you know, just, and we did good work, but we cleaned up. I mean, it was just like, you couldn't not. And then Vanessa got the opportunity to come back to Los Angeles to work for the law firm. So I was like, fuck it, I'll do whatever, you know, and that kind of thing. And came back to Pittsburgh for about 6 months, where I took over another landscape company, which was weird. But anyway, yeah, and then finally went rolling back to LA when weirdness ensued. But anyway, it was a good time. It was great.
Yeah. So you went back to LA.
Uh-huh.
And that's when you were on TV?
So I decided to take my Bronco from Pittsburgh to Los Angeles.
A white Bronco down the
highway?
No,
my big black Bronco is in your parking lot.
The one you still have.
Oh no, this was a different one. I'm the ebony to that ivory. And no, I had a little Bronco that I bought, and I was like, Vanessa wanted me to come to LA, and I was like, cool, but I was working, and we still had like 2 months left on our lease, and I was like, all right, whatever. So I loaded up the Bronco. I'm going to do this whirlwind tour of the U.S. I'm going to go see my sister in Tennessee, my brother in Charleston, and then I'm going to go see some family in Wisconsin, and just go basically be a bum, like Kerouac my way through, you know, whatever. Because I didn't have to be there in any time frame, so I thought, all right, whatever. So I loaded everything I owned on top of this Bronco. I got about an hour and a half away into like West Virginia, and like, have you ever had a car die on you?
Yeah,
it's amazing because you're like, and all of a sudden it's like. When you feel like you're on a pirate ship because it's nothing but wind.
And it's like slow motion.
Yeah, exactly. So the car dies, and then I was like, shit. So I had to tow back to Pittsburgh, and then Vanessa was like, I'm getting you a train ticket because she knows I hate flying. And I was like, cool, I've never been on a train across country. That'd be awesome. So I get on there, and just wildness ensues, and it was like 4 days worth of just incredibleness. Turns out there were like bounty hunters, and somebody got thrown off in the middle of like Arizona because they were roofing people. It was amazing. It was amazing. But the one guy that I was hanging out with, he just got out of Penn State, and so we were playing guitar with each other, like in the smoking car, like drinking booze and just playing guitar and having out.
Because that would happen.
Yeah, because Kerouac the shit out of it, right? You got to take the time to just at least experience what the universe wants you to experience. You don't have to enjoy it, but at least try it. And turns out he and I, when I got to LA, my wife had rented a place in San Gabriel, and we didn't know this, but his mom lived 2 blocks from where my wife had just rented this place. So basically, he and I were like, okay, this is density, so we're just going to fucking hang out. And so we started a band together and whatnot. And through him, I got to meet his mother, who was a line producer for a lot of the TLC programs. She kept trying to talk me into the gypsy lifestyle of doing whatever, you know, like becoming a TV guy. And I wouldn't do it, because I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. I've traveled enough in the Marine Corps and all that bullshit. But through them, I got a job with a company doing construction. Same thing, went in entry level, wound up taking over. But then she kept trying to sucker me into doing like television stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do it. Like she did The Amazing Race and a bunch of those like craziness, and you know, she was traveling all over the world, Thailand, and it was nuts. But she came to me one day and she was like, hey, I need something done for a show that I'm working on. It's here in LA. Would you do it for me? And I was like, yeah, whatever. So it was this big 3-way or 2-way mirror, you know, like a see-through mirror type thing. And it was for LA Inc. And I didn't know, right? So I was like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it. You know, that's fun, sounds cool. And like, I had nothing to do. And like at the time, like I said, I was like either doing construction or riding horses, so I didn't give a shit. And so I built this thing for her, and I took it down to him, dropped it off, the whole deal. She's like, oh, the producer wants to talk to you. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And I talked to him, and he's like, oh, how much? And I was like, I don't know, like $3,500. And he's like, no, for you. And I was like, no, you can't afford me. It turns out he could afford me. It was insane.
So there was a number.
Oh God, yeah. Like I remember when I got my first check from working. And reality TV is the bastard of all, you know, the television and stuff like that,
sure.
or you know, that whole industry. But fuck, the money is just like they handed me my first check, and I was like, holy shit. And I took it home to Vanessa, and she was making really good money at the law firm, whatever. And I walked up to her and I handed my check, and she just laughed. She goes, seriously? I'm like, I know, right? She's like,
What did you do? You were on LA.
I basically, without being pretentious, was the art director. But the way reality TV works, there wasn't really an art director. So while I was the art director in theory, I was the art department. So like I would build sets, I would do set prep, you know, that kind of stuff, all the crazy shit. You know, help the camera guys get ready to do what they're gonna do. Like I have to build areas, diminishing screen, all kind of weird shit. Like all the industry crap where I'd have to build rooms that weren't real, that kind of stuff. And that was weird for me coming from a construction background because it was like, when I do construction, it's like 31 screws, 6 on the flat and 12 in the field, and you know, and then you get to do like TV shit, and they're like, no, son, put 1 screw in there. It's coming down in 1 hour. And I was like, oh, neat. You know, like, and as long as nobody died, you were good, you know? Yeah. So I did that. And then, Vanessa looked at me when I brought the first check home, and she was like, I was like, wait, you want to frame it? She's like, fuck no, let's spend it. I'm like, nice, let's do that. So I worked for there for a while. But then the whole time I was still in contact with a lot of the guys that I work construction with. And one of the guys, his name is Gary, White Wolf. He's a Native American guy. He was one of my supervisors for the company that I worked for. And he worked for the oil industry. And basically he called me one day and he was like, hey, I need an assistant. And I'm like, okay. And so like, that was it. And like I went in and I tested, did all my background checks and stuff like that. And the next thing I'm working on oil rigs
out
in the middle of
the ocean.
Well, no. So I worked for Del Mar Jetty, which is basically Thumbs Islands, which is in the middle of Long Beach. Okay. They're the receiving stations for all the external, the offshore stuff. Okay. So like it was crazy. Like, and I got paid to hold a tape measure. It was insane. I wasn't allowed to do anything else. Like I could get fired for jumping in a hole and helping somebody. Yeah, it's nuts. Like I would have better chance if I jumped in a hole, I would get fired. If I told the main island supervisor to go fuck his own mother, he'd be like, yeah, you know what I mean, that type of deal. So it was one of those where safety's paramount kind of thing. Yeah. So it was interesting, man. Like I was like the one guy in California that was at the gas pump when it was like $6 a gallon, smiling, and people were like, "What are you so happy about?" I was like, "Man, go to 7, like whatever you want to do, you know." So yeah, let's get back on track. What do you want to talk about other than me?
We're here to talk about you. So, listen.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to fast forward.
Go. Do you have any cool sound effects or anything?
No. I want to... No sound effects. So, right now, you have a martial arts school.
Yeah.
That is for German sword fighting?
Right. So, it's called Historical European Martial Arts, or HEMA. And I teach Lichtenauer, which is a German martial art, like the German sword martial art. We also teach Italian and Spanish rapier. We teach mixed weapons like Polish saber and so if you've seen a movie and you think you want to stab somebody with a pointy end, I basically teach it. We also offer self-defense based in like centerline fighting and Marine Corps combatives. So that's like a really that's my favorite because like that's my bread and butter. Mm-hmm. And we kind of make sure that all of our students actually take that course first because there's no point in handing them 5 feet of metal if they don't know how to move their feet.
Yeah.
That kind of deal. We're also one of the only places in Pittsburgh that offers kendo. University of Pittsburgh has a kendo program, and some of their instructors, Vince Lee's one of their senpais down there. He's I think he's a 5th Dan, something like that. He actually comes out to our school and teaches kendo. So like, and we also have the equestrian program, which teaches mounted combat. It just wound up being a whirlwind adventure of what the fuck do we do next and what can we do.
Before you, I had never heard of anything about this.
Yeah, before me, I'd never heard of any of that shit. I had to look online.
So I think that might be something interesting to discuss because I don't know how many people have actually heard or know. I mean, everybody's heard of fencing.
Yeah,
but exactly. Everybody thinks fencing is the pointy little...
Right, wire wigglers. Yeah, Olympic shit. Which is great. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm taking nothing away from those guys. That's just a whole different thing. Like, we basically work off of treatises from the 12th through, like, 15th century.
You're swinging around a big-ass fucking sword.
5 feet of razor-sharp death. Yeah. It's good. It's pretty neat. Yeah. Like, once again, my guidance counselor never told me that was a real thing.
No, I didn't. I don't think many people knew it was a real thing.
Yeah.
But it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So, like everybody else, once again, I started Taekwondo when I was like 6 because I went full Ralph Macchio, and I was like, and if you've watched Cobra Kai, you actually found out that, you know, Daniel is the bad guy. But whatever, just watch that show. It's amazing. And, so I started doing martial arts as far as that's concerned, but like anybody else, like a boy, I was in the backyard fighting dragons and Jedi since I was 5 years old. You know what I mean? That's just what we do. Grab a wiffle ball bat and have at each other.
Right.
So I never knew it was a real thing, and I was always looking for like that fix, you know, like because you always want to do that and you just don't know how to do that. And then when I finally got back to Pittsburgh, I was playing ice hockey. Well, my wife tells me that if I don't do something that's combative or something that's competitive, that I'm a giant dick, and then like I need to go do something. So I was playing ice hockey when I first got back, and I was like, all right, it's cool. And I'm a goaltender, so you know, screws loose and all that shit. But then I just kind of like saw these videos of these guys like actually doing sword fighting, and I was like, what the fuck? Is that real? You know, I didn't know it was real. Well, I knew it was real, obviously, but I didn't know anybody was doing anything that was worth anything. Obviously, the theatrical stuff that I had been involved in, you know, TV shit and stuff like that. And I'd done some stunts out in LA, and it's all big showy crap, but like I didn't know it was real. And so then I was like, wow, dude, I got to do this. And then like every 6 months I'd like check the interwebs and see if anybody in Pittsburgh was doing this. And then I was like a year, and I finally found a small group of guys that were like kind of dicking around but didn't really know what they were doing. And I was like, all right, well, whatever, I can get in there and do this and just try it out, you know. And I really fell in love with it. And then, you know, went through the 6 months again, and I checked the internet, and I was like, is anybody doing this? Is anybody doing HEMA? And then this one guy, Jim Brooks, decided to move from California to Pennsylvania because he could make more money doing graphic design, which is weird how it's a small circle. And I basically reached out to him, and I was like, hey man, yeah, let's do this. Like, what he didn't know is that I already had a school that I was training at, and like I was always helping build this place and the whole deal. So he showed up, and he thought we were gonna like be trolls under a bridge and like, you know, fighting with sticks and whatever. And I was like, well, why don't you just come down to my training studio? And he's like, are you fucking serious? And so like, so I already had everything set up, and then he helped me basically develop the program we're in right now. And he basically introduced me to the tournament scene, what we do. Kind of fell, and I fell in love with it. It was like, you know, I mean, like, I think I wept a little on the inside. I was like, I can do whatever I want. You know?
So you're traveling. Where do you travel to do these?
Everywhere.
Yeah, I saw you had on your social media in New York.
Yeah, Rome, Sweden,
really?
New Hampshire. Yeah, basically there's nowhere in the world I can't go right now, and honestly stay for free with people that I actually know. So it's weird. Like, my wife hates it because she's like, let's go to a hotel. I was like, or just hear me out. We can just go hang with the local people that we'd be looking for anywhere if we were at the hotel. I was like, let's just go do this. But she hates sword nerds. She's like, nerds. And I'm like, yeah, because my wife and I are both jocks. It's just, here's the thing. I'm built like a jock, so I went with jock. But I will roll dice with anybody. Like, I'll go play D&D in a basement. I don't give a shit. You know, like, I don't care. You know, like, I love that stuff. But fortunately for me, I was built like a linebacker, and so I get to do whatever I want. Yeah. And so that was it. But then my wife is like, she's like,
play D&D and nobody's gonna say shit.
Right? No, it's like Vin Diesel. Like, you ever watch D and Diesel? Vin Diesel actually has a show where he plays D&D with people, and people are like, nerd. He's like, I'll kill you. It's just like whatever. So, yeah. So I loved all that stuff, but like my wife is like straight jock, like college softball, Olympic team shit. You know?
Yeah. So she doesn't. She doesn't.
Like,
get
yeah,
it.
she trained with all the girls that were on the Olympic team and shit, and she's like, fucking nerd. Yeah. So it's like, but yeah. So I don't know. Like, it was. I don't know where were you on that one?
I don't know. That's crazy. So you're traveling all over.
Oh, yeah. So Sweden, Rome, going to I have a distributor in Japan or China right now, so I got to get over there and do all kind of stuff, and then Australia.
Okay, so that brings us to something else. So
Yeah.
And actually, you started this even before the school, or maybe it was concurrent.
It was right about the same time, because like when I started fighting, there was no really good gear to fight in. Like, everyone was like putting together like hockey equipment and baseball gear and like duct tape and shit together. Yeah. And I was like, bump that shit. So I built what everyone donned, the bat suit. It's just sick ass piece of rig, but I was the only one that had it, right? And like I was the only one that had a helmet. Like, you know, everyone's like wearing fencing masks and like trying to put leather on the back of it. And it's come a long way in 5 years. Like, there's a lot of gear now, but literally I build the best gear ever. But it wasn't my fault. I just built my own shit, and people were like, can we have that? I'm like, nah, dude, no one gets the Iron Man suit. You know, it's like, just no.
So then everybody wanted to buy it,
right? And then it kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And
that company's called
Destroy Mods. Yeah.
And it's crazy. So now you're making equipment and protective gear.
I double dip.
Yeah.
So
vertical integration. Right?
That's exactly what it is. So yeah, there was a need for gear. I kind of filled that need for gear and stuff.
Yeah. So you've gone from renovating homes,
Right.
to hardscape landscaping.
Well, no. Let's
ponds.
go from learning how to kill small brown people without questioning.
Oh, right. The Marine Corps.
Yes.
So you've gone from that. Yeah. So you got the Marine Corps,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got hardscape landscaping.
Right. Construction background into hardscape landscape, and then into fighting. Well, back into fighting, I should say.
And now you're making clothing.
Yeah, basically, I'm
Protective
designing clothing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think Kim Kardashian decided she was gonna sell some of your products.
Right? Yeah. No, she we're working on the deal.
Just kidding. You want to get flamed for that?
I just want to meet Kanye.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, "What do you do?"
See if he wants to be on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Totally, he might.
Yeah, right. So okay, so that brings us to what you're doing now. Except,
Yeah, it never ends. There's no rest for the wicked. It never ends.
Tell us about your newest.
All right, so I already have a grassroots movement with a lot of these.
Can you talk
And I'll say nerds because I'm proud to be one. These nerds that give me money every month so they can learn to kill people with a sword, which is good. You know, power to the people. Let's rock it out. Empowerment to the people who need empowered, and they're doing well. Like I actually sleep well at night because like a lot of this shit changes people's lives. I get a lot of like introverts. Don't get me wrong. I get super jock athletes that are actually attorneys and doctors, and I also get like basement dwelling neckbeards. So I get them all. You know what I mean? It's then seriously like they walk in, they smell like Doritos. I'm like, hey bro, what's up? But we got room for everybody, as long as you're willing to accept the fact that you're training in a martial art. You're not there to talk about fantasy swords and D&D. Like we can play D&D on like Saturday nights, but when you're in there, you're sweating.
We're gonna hit you with
right.
a sword
You're
here.
going to learn to kill someone, or someone else is going to learn to kill you, and that's it. Relieve you of your mortal coil, as they say. So yeah, but I always have this grassroots movement. These guys and we have this big Catholic church that we renovated, and I renovated, and that was my wife too. She found that place. She's brilliant. But yeah, so they're already there, and they already want to like roll D&D and do this stuff, and like. So somewhere in my head is like, I don't want to go to the places that cater to said 19 to 30-year-old neckbeards. Like no offense, but if you still live in your mom's basement and she doesn't have like Parkinson's or something, you're basically a douchebag. Get out, try living. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a great time.
No one's ever lived until their wife and they had a discussion about, do we pay the electric bill or get a case of beer and some smokes? That's living.
Yeah.
Now I say that when I had my 4-bedroom townhouse in fucking Oceanside, but like literally that was a lot of money to pay for that rent. So we just get beer,
So you get beer and you say,
yeah, you get beer and fuck electric.
Figure it out tomorrow.
Fuck it, the sun will rise.
Yeah,
we're
we'll
gonna be
figure it
okay.
out tomorrow.
Exactly. So yeah, like I don't want to cater to a group that's like I don't like you got the Magic card player guys and like no offense, let your freak flag fly, do whatever you want. It's not my bag. But there's like a lot of friends of mine that could play with these fucking plastic toys and they're spending like $50 a shot on these fucking one plastic toy. And I love all that stuff because I love toys. Like I told you, I'm a fanboy, so Star Wars fanboy shit's for me. Like I love toys. Another thing my guidance counselor never told me. I'm really angry about my guidance counselor.
Yeah. I've noticed.
Yeah, it's like a reoccurring thing. I should really look her up and like talk
Fuck what did you know?
Fuck you, Mrs. Park. And so attorney my ass. So yeah, so like I thought about it, and a lot of my friends were like, hey, can we play board games here when we're not using the school to train? And I was like, fuck yeah, do whatever you want. I don't care. You're already a member here, do what you want. And then it just kind of started opening up, and like once again that universal synchronicity crap, and like that my obviously my second favorite place on the planet is Smoking Guns.
Yep, Smoking Guns, a cigar shop in Oakmont.
Right, which Mr. Ionati is literally he's a friend to all, a father to most. I mean he's fucking amazing, right? And like getting down there, you're like, oh shit. And you finally find like the 8th grade locker room you've always been looking for. Like they're putting
where everybody gets along.
Yeah, they're like putting kick me stickers on each other and shit. It's fucking.
Yeah, it's like the real life Cheers.
It really is.
You
Norm.
have the guys that never leave.
I swear to God.
And you've got the guys that are there every day.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
Everybody knows your name, and everybody, do anything for each other.
It's pretty much the most wonderful place on the planet. And then they opened up the branch office, obviously, at JK's place with the cigar bar, which is awesome because that gave Mr. I kind of the opportunity to build the cigar bar of the future, which is amazing. That place is incredible.
Without having to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right, exactly.
It's not too bad whenever you can sell cigars when you sleep.
Right, exactly. We'll double dipping or vertical.
Yep.
Exactly. So that was awesome. But then it turns out that he owns the building, and right next door used to be what was Mr. Nice Guys, which was a game store. And he blew up so big he had to move into Monroeville, and he basically like runs out of a giant eagle-sized space now.
What did he take over? He took over it's back behind where like Dick's is.
It's behind. It's right next to the Guitar Center and the Harbor Freight.
Yeah, huge space.
Huge, and he fills that motherfucker.
Really?
Fills it.
I didn't realize there were that many people out there.
Oh, dude, you're talking about a $1 billion industry that nobody knows about.
Yeah, what?
It's ridiculous. So basically what I'm doing is I'm opening what they consider a boutique, which would be a destination game place. It's basically set up for VIP members. You go in, you have access to a VIP room. You can do what you want. You play with the house. It's crazy. And then I talked to my nerds, and I was like, does anybody are you entertained by this? And they're like, fuck yeah, we'll give you money. I'm like, all right. So you know what?
You needed to
right.
Hear.
When 100 people say they give you money, it means 30 will. But that was still a good ratio. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, if 30 of you give me the money, then it pays for itself, and then I can build a really cool space. So are you a sci-fi fan at all? Right, do you ever watch Firefly, Joss Whedon?
No.
Okay. Greatest television show ever on the fucking planet.
That's what they say on Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang's okay. I'm okay with that. But Firefly crushes Big Bang Theory.
Too close to home.
Yeah, it's a little too nerdish.
A little too close to home.
Nerdish. Yeah, but no. So anyway, the downstairs we're gonna do like.
Let's face it. If it wasn't for Penny, nobody would watch.
No, thank you. Right, like Sheldon's fun.
Sheldon's funny.
Meh.
It's all Penny.
I'd rather see what's his name back on Roseanne, which they canceled, by the way. Apparently, they did. They restarted that. Well, I was a little upset because, like,
but I heard that they're gonna bring it back without Roseanne.
That's bullshit, though, because
you're gonna kill off the name of the company, the name of the
no,
show?
it's horseshit because. Like, who gives a shit if she has a political agenda? She's a fucking actress. Yeah. You don't have to pay attention to her. Listen, I thought she was funny as shit.
They all have a political agenda.
Right. Let it run.
She just took an Ambien and went on Twitter.
Right, but it's like, just shut the fuck up. Do your job. Be an actor or actress, whatever you're doing. Did we lose Mike?
No, we did, but it's still gone.
Oh, okay, good. But yeah, like, I've worked with all the actresses and the actors, and it's like, dude, I don't give a shit about your personal opinion or political agenda. Like, I'm like, you're a dipshit who signed your life away to be on TV. I'm like, whatever. You sign the contract, deal with the devil, lay in bed. That's it.
Yeah, my wife never understands, and we'll be watching something, and I'll be like, oh my god, and she's like, she doesn't get it, and I'm like, I don't want to hear it.
No, I don't
care.
No,
like, the problem with it is, and you know what, I'm probably a hypocrite because I watch shows like Last Man Standing, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to have to watch a show and think, why did they say that?
Yeah, no.
What are they trying to say? What are they trying to? And most of the time, like I'm like borderline libertarian.
I am so close to libertarian, it upsets me.
Yeah, I just want to be left
and they
alone.
Made me this way.
Right, exactly. They all did. They all did.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like, all my buddies, they're like, you voted for Trump. And I was like, if you're going to have a circus, let's put the biggest clown in charge, and there's no way I'm going to let the villain. I was like, Jesus Christ. And crucify me all you want. That woman is evil. I was in the military, and I had a fucking top secret clearance. If I lost one email, I'm going to Leavenworth.
Yeah.
This woman, 30,000 emails apparently just go away for some reason, and all of a sudden she's to be my president. I'm like, nah.
And now I saw on the news this morning that they're giving Trump a hard time because they're talking about revoking her security clearance, and they're making it seem like he's trying to eliminate all the people that are against him. And I'm like, well, why does she need a security clearance?
But she doesn't.
She's
clearly incompetent.
She's unemployed, last I heard.
It's just...
Yeah, like if I leave a company, they're not going to let me keep the key. It doesn't make any sense.
It's incredible. Like, I can't. Like, we could do 3 hours on this if you want. But anyway, the point is, yeah. Like, when did it become so cool to be so open minded that your brain falls out underneath your ass?
And that's so much.
It's retarded.
It's
retarded. A good friend of mine is the president of the alliance that I belong to that handles our insurances and things like that. That whole deal. And he was going on a subject which I completely disagree with, and I just looked at him. I was like, man, this is why no one should be the president of anything unless they've done 2 years mandatory service. And he was like,
you know what?
Fuck you. And I was like, no, fuck you. Seriously. I was like, you can't unless you're in a trench. Don't tell me what to do.
I don't disagree with
that. Fuck
that.
off.
Now, I didn't serve, but I don't disagree with that.
Right, but it's okay. If you want some dipshit sending 40,000 of my brothers somewhere to start a fight,
you should have gone to.
Whoa, you should have at least known what it was like.
And so now, since we haven't had somebody that served, well, I guess George W. Bush served.
George W. He did that one landing on the craft thing, I think.
He did that.
It was her.
His father served.
Yes.
But Clinton dodged the draft.
Ronnie motherfucking Reagan.
Reagan served.
Yep.
George Bush the first served.
Yes.
Clinton dodged.
He did dodge.
George W. Bush, who knows? Obama didn't serve.
No.
He barely served as a senator.
I don't even know what he did.
Yeah.
Well, here's the fucking rub on this shit too, right? Like, my friends that are these libtard, lefty, bleeding heart ass mongers, and they're still my friends, and I love them, but it's like they broke my balls so hard for voting for Trump. But did any of them ask me if I actually voted for Obama twice?
You did?
Fucking twice.
Yeah.
You have a half black, half white president that promises change. Now, here's the real rub. My grandfather's Cuban, and he said, we had a guy that promised change. And I was like, oh.
You know, that's funny, right? So I actually, it's funny you say that. I have two aunts from Venezuela, and they said the same thing.
Yeah.
They said whenever Obama was running, and before that, they were actually self-proclaimed Democrats because they're of the belief that they want to help people.
Yeah.
And they feel, and I'm not saying that they're wrong because that's whatever. I'm not going to get a flame war over this.
Right.
But they feel like the Democrats are more equipped to help people. So they were Democrats. But when Obama was speaking, they said that it scared them.
Oh, they all got the shivers.
It reminded them of Venezuela.
Yeah, and
Fidel
all of those fucking the communists down in South America. Yeah,
and
it's the
Venezuela.
same thing.
And it's interesting. And then I was watching. I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he had a woman on that was talking about her friend who's Cuban that said the same thing about Fidel.
Oh no, the Cubans in Florida were shaking out their boots. Like my grandfather was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Yeah. And I'm like, "You can't ask for a better candidate." I was like, "You have a person who here literally can affect change because he is half of all of us. Not all of us, but the majorities that fucking constantly collide."
Yeah, maybe he can bring us together.
Right. Let's build that fucking bridge.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little dissatisfied with the end result of that term. Whatever. But my grandfather was like, my grandfather was like, "What are you, a fucking idiot?" And I was like, I don't even know what you're saying right now. I was like, because I was like, what, 28 when that happened? Yeah. So I was like, fuck it, and I voted for Billy. And I served under Billy, which was cool because we got blowjobs and drank beer and there wasn't a lot going on. So that was fine. It was a good time.
So did he.
Yeah, so did it. You laughed, dude. We had to let people out of the brig for what do you call it? Infidelity was a charge that was it was the UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That was an infringement on that. So like if you had, let's say you're banging somebody else's wife, you can go to jail for that shit, right? Like they literally put you in the brig. We had to let dudes out of the brig because the commander-in-chief was doing whatever he wanted.
Really?
Incredible.
Wow.
Incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So you voted for Clinton once or twice?
Once for Clinton. Once for Billy.
Yeah.
And then twice for Obama.
Yeah.
And then said that'll be enough of that. and
then the pendulum swung the other way.
And I swear to God, and I'm not a Bernie Sanders fan, and I like Gene Roddenberry's Utopia as much as the next guy, but like when the Democrats throw out a criminal as the fucking it's like, how do you do that?
Yeah, and they robbed him.
Right.
I mean, that was Bernie Sanders.
Bernie had the shot.
And honestly, he probably had a better chance of beating Trump.
Oh God, yeah, no, absolutely. But it was my turn. Fuck you, it's not your turn.
Yeah, it's an entitlement thing. It was,
Senator's son. It's not your fucking turn.
that's a little. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and you can think what you want of Trump. I think things are going pretty well.
I think considering that America is generally a business, let's let a businessman run. I felt the same way about Perot, big ears. I was like, dude, this guy could he's like, deficit, I got it, don't do it again. And just let it run. Let them fucking run. If you're gonna run a corporation, and that's what America is right now, let's not bullshit on the land of the free and the home of the brave. Whatever. Let's just say it's a business. We owe a lot of money to a lot of people.
Yes, we do.
Then let's let fucking Trump do his thing.
Yeah.
31 bankruptcies in the pocket, still a billionaire. Let's let that fucking guy try it.
Yeah, maybe he can help us out.
You know what I'm saying? Let him run.
I do.
Let him run.
I get it. Whether he has the answers or not, I think we're in a good. I think things are turning.
If you're just looking at the numbers, shit is actually working out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you may not agree with it. And do I think the wall's funny? Yeah. You want to build a wall? I got about 40,000 brothers that would come home and stand 8 feet apart for 6 hours a day. Let's do that. You know what I mean? Let's not get involved in political agendas and wars that don't involve anything other than money. Let's do that. And that's a Marine speaking, not a fucking, whatever.
Yeah.
Just whatever. I love what I did. I loved I served, but man, this fucking agenda is insane.
My problem with the war is, and my brother's in the Air Force, and I have my good friend John is
Well, it's not even a war anymore. It's just like it's like an adventure. They're like, when does it end?
Well, and that's my problem with it is I support the troops. I support I support the reason why we're over there, but it's time to win.
Right.
It's time to throw the rules of engagement out the window and win the war.
But there's the problem with that. Why are we there? Do you know what I mean? It's like, I get what you're saying, and there's a certain point in time, and trust me, having served, I'm not serving for you or Mrs. Smith down the street that makes the greatest apple pies. I'm making sure the dude next to me gets to go home and have Thanksgiving dinner with his mother.
Absolutely.
That's fucking all I give a shit about. So this American way shit is fantastic, and I believe in it, and that's what I did. But when shit hits the fan, I just want to make sure the dude next to me gets to see his kids. That's it. And I'm hoping he feels the same way about me. I don't have any kids. I have dogs, and they're wonderful. But it's like, so I don't understand what the agenda is. And that's where my problem lies. Yeah. A lot of my buddies, when I first got out, 9/11 happened right after that, and they were like, "You coming back, right?" And I'm like, "Nah, dude, I don't know if I'm coming back." And they're like, "No, you need to come back." And I'm like,
"How old were you?"
22, 23, 22, wow.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys I know went in when they were 25 because 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And I was making adult decisions on why did that happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was fucked up. And I was a machine gunner for the COC, which is Command Operations Center, for what I did. I promised I wouldn't get shot, so I went in administration. And the first place they sent me was a combat battalion. And then the first thing I did was make friends with the logistics officer who was in charge of the fucking command operations. So he was like, "Parise, what do you think about the 240? I was like, "Great gun, sir." He's like, "Good, 0630. So then I was a machine gunner for a fucking tactical operations center. But all my buddies were like, "You're a pretty good shot." I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You should come back." I'm like, "Nah."
Yeah, you did your time.
That's how I did my time. Like I said, all my uncles were World War II vets, right? And so they would, and they all lived. This was before the Private Ryan soul surviving crap, right? So they were all over in Germany, all over in Europe, and they did the whole tour and they would hang out with each other at family reunions, and it would just be the 5 of them. And there would be either a case of beer or a keg of beer for my uncles. And everyone else would just drink on the side, and no one disturbed them and did whatever. Or if they needed a beer, they'd be like, "Hey boy, get me a beer." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I'd go get them beers, and they're like, "Go get me another beer." And they're like, I'm like, "Okay, well I got you 5. Why do you need 6?" And they'd be like, and they'd open one for me. And I'm like, "I love you guys. You guys are awesome." And so when I first got out of boot camp, there was a family reunion coming up, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, this is gonna be awesome." So I came in my dress blues, and I'm fucking ready to go, right? Fucking, buck 80, a cock diesel, fucking killing babies, whatever it takes, the whole deal. And my uncles were sitting together at his family reunion, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, here it is. We're doing this," right? And I walked up, and they're like, "Boy, get me a beer." And I was like, "Sounds good, sir." And I'd go get beers, right? And I bring one for myself because I knew I'm supposed to have one. And I sat down, and they looked at me, and they were like, "Gone." And I was like, "No, I've seen some shit." And they're like, "All right, boot, whatever," But these are World War II vets that had seen combat together. So and I thought I did my part because I spent 3 boats in Paris Island, becoming a killer.
Yeah, not exactly.
Not in their
combat,
eyes, right?
Yeah.
No, exactly. But yeah, it was funny to me. I laugh about that all the time. It's just you're a boot. I didn't know shit. 19 years old, fucking nothing.
You still don't know shit.
I still don't. Do you ever think that about yourself though?
Yeah.
20-year-old you was the smartest person you ever met until 30-year-old you was like, you were an idiot.
Yeah. Do you ever have days where you're like, wait, do I know what I'm doing now?
Exactly.
Like, what am I doing?
Some days I wake up and I'll be like, what day is this? What am I doing today?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this today?
These people trust me with this?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Everyone should have a psychological eval.
Wait a second. Yeah. All right. So, what else do you want to talk about?
I don't know, man. You have a list of shit here. Let's go. What do we miss there? And I can talk about anything. You want to talk about like
anything, huh?
You want to talk about Mr. Rogers because that was amazing.
Mr. Rogers.
Oh, you didn't hear about that?
No.
So my buddy Frizzy is a rapper, got signed by Sony. He just did the 50th anniversary for Mr. Rogers on QED.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome. So I went down to hang out with him. He's one of my students. Good dude. And, a good buddy of mine. And he was like, you want to come to the video shoot? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I actually wound up being in the 50th anniversary rap video for Mr. Rogers on QED, which may do something amazing, but I'm not allowed to talk about it yet. But yeah, so
when is that? Is that going online?
Yeah, it's online now. I think it's actually part of the documentary that just got released. I think it has the closing credits on the documentary that just got released. That Be My Neighbor or whatever it was.
Okay.
I think there's a Tom Hanks movie coming out too that is the same idea.
Oh, really? They're going to actually do
I believe
movie about
Mr. Rogers, which is amazing.
Yeah,
so
it's fantastic.
yeah, so that was cool. And now, so I think I'm going on tour with that guy to do security. It's gonna be rough.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna have to write my taxes for a bunch of stuff.
All right.
I don't even know how that works.
Yeah. All right. So is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it should be FRZY, and it's Mr. Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
QED.
All right.
That's him.
That's him. I will be playing this.
There I am. See me in the video? I'm getting bro hugged.
All right, I'm gonna play this at the end of this video.
You should. It's a fantastic. It's beautiful.
So, hopefully, I don't end up with some copyright shit.
No. He would much appreciate you just throwing that down there. He just got signed. He's a phenomenal rapper. We actually had an epic rap battle between he and I at the school. But see, there's things like everyone thinks I'm just like this white boy, but I'm like actually.
So you can rap.
Well,
too.
no, an OG cracker. You understand? Like what I did is like, while these guys were waiting to like dupe tapes off of each other on the corner, I was one of the white kids from like Fox Chapel and Shaler that was actually paying for the CDs to be released. So NWA, you're welcome. You know what I'm saying? Like,
all right, so at the end of this video, I'm gonna actually.
You should. It's
when
actually
I put
brilliant.
This live,
He's a phenomenal rapper, and so like Mr. Ionati actually got to meet him, and he was like, he's looking at him because he's like a 6'7" black guy. And Mr. I's like, who's this guy? I was like, that's my friend, and he's like, where the hell is he from? I was like, actually, basketball scholarship, Clemson, 2 degrees, and he's like, huh. I'm like, yeah. That's a very educated young man. It's like, but he's also wicked talented.
Yeah.
Like he's insane. Like he can
I'll
spit
check
like
him out.
It's nuts.
How do you know him?
He actually wanted to sword fight.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. Who doesn't want a sword fight? Like if you don't actually want a sword fight, you're lying to you.
That's what I mean. I think there's so many people that don't even know that is
it's
that
available
hobby
to them.
exists.
Yeah. No, it exists.
It exists.
It's real.
And you want to Google HEMA, HEMA.
Or just skip that bullshit and go to PittsburghSwordfighters.com.
Do that. PittsburghSwordfighters.com.
And it's spelled properly, not the way you guys say it. It's not like Pixburgh. Pittsburgh.
It's not Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
PittsburghSwordfighters.com.
Yeah.
Check it out because Josh will teach you how to kill a man with a giant sword.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
I can do that.
Did you finish school?
Oh, college? No.
Yeah.
College is a fucking joke, man.
Yeah.
No,
right.
like I am so against what they have done to the last 10 years of young adults.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I think we agree.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's,
when you force an entire generation to better themselves without bettering themselves for the advancement of just fiscal, go swing a hammer, dude. You can fucking make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like half the guys I talk to now are so in debt that like, how do you get out of college and owe $300,000? You haven't even bought a car or your first home. Like,
Yeah,
how
and
is
they
that?
can't.
That you can't. You are enslaved to the system. But like your parents allowed, and I'm talking to that generation, those people in the 80s that wanted to fuck and fornicate and have children, you fucked and fornicated your own children. That is amazing. Like, you're going to let them just fucking believe in this bullshit? That's amazing to me. Like, and once again, Mrs. Park, I love you. You were great. But fuck you. Like, there's a whole world out there.
I think the whole system's broken. I think you have the advisors in these universities
who are paid to play.
And they are. And they, when they sit down with a kid and they say, well, what classes do you want to take? Don't tell me don't ask me what I want to take. You're advising me. What am I supposed to take?
Right. What should I do? I took the tests.
Yeah. So I'm going to graduate in 4 years. What am I supposed to take?
That's a mindset. She was like, well, you're a sociopath or a lawyer. And I was like, aren't those the...
Aren't those the
like, did pretty well on my verbal. I don't know. I think it's the same thing.
And then they sell this line of shit where it's like, you know, you're going to graduate and don't worry about that $100,000 worth of debt or $150 or $300,000.
Yeah, you'll make that back in the first 6 months when you get signed on by a Fortune 5. Fuck yourself.
Yeah, they're going to get this huge job. It's going to make all this money.
They've inflated this, and we've allowed this to happen, and then we just continue to do this bullshit. Yeah. And it's like, and honestly, like I've had guys work for me. They're like, I have a college education. And I'm like, that is awesome. Now, if you could finish digging that hole, that'd be amazing. Fuck you. Like. Yeah. I don't give a shit about your college education.
Right.
It has no practical reality. There's nothing like the guys that get psychology degrees. Holy fuck. Every person I know, and I have a lot of them that I know I'm good friends with, they got psychology degrees. They go back to get educational degrees because the only thing they can make money at is teaching psychology.
Teaching, right.
It's like, fuck you.
Well,
That's not real.
There's a whole liberal arts section of a college academia that the only thing you can do with it is teach.
That's it.
What are you going to do with an English degree?
Break the chain is what you're going to do. Go grab a fucking rake.
You're not going to do shit with
that. Nothing.
Nothing.
It's not real. The one person out of the 300 that graduate that actually carries on at the academy or the university where they learned at,
right?
Good for you. What the fuck else are you going to do?
Nothing.
So then we got all these fucking dipshits with this inflated self-centered entitlement thing, and they're like, well, I'm going to do this. I'm like, no, dude, you're going to work.
Yeah, so I think that actually brings you back full circle, and you can to this entrepreneurship is cool now. Because you have all these kids that are graduating.
So you're telling me you want me to open a YouTube channel and talk about nonsense and then just get sponsors?
So what we should do is sell some bullshit ebook that says this is how you sell things, and the only things they've ever sold are the ebooks.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If that Ponzi scheme is still fucking going, I'm in.
They're everywhere.
I'm in.
You put.
How do you like?
It's amazing.
So
Josh.
Let me ask you this. When do you think the generational gap will happen again? When do you think that real men and young women will fucking rise from the loins of fucking mediocrity and millennials and say this is ridiculous and we need to actually do things that make sense and make us money?
I think that there's actually a younger, and I see it, and maybe it's because the people that I'm around at this age are children of people close to me that are all like-minded, but I see some of the people that are going into school now looking at the system and going,
that ain't right.
That doesn't make sense.
That ain't right.
And I think you're going to see a change. And I think...
Well, you have to. There has to be a change.
It may be expedited by a bubble in the student loan industry.
I'm good with that.
There's so much debt out there.
I just recently heard about now they're like, we're talking about education for free, and I'm like,
well, who's going to pay for that?
Yeah, that would have been fucking nice. Does that happen? Is that a real thing?
Right. But who pays for it?
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some socialist countries out there that are like, hey, go to school for free. You get one shot. If not, you're paying for the rest. I'm okay with that. Why can't we implement that? And most of the good ideas these fucking countries are picking up are shit we've already thrown down anyway.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, America's like, we should do this, and then we're like, no, we won't do that because we can't make any money off of it. Other countries are like, oh, that's pretty solid. We should do that.
Pretty solid. Yeah, so. It's just it has to come. Somebody's got to pay for it. And fuck, dude, our high school education system is screwed up.
Oh,
I mean, it's
flawed
so
from the jump.
Screwed up.
I'll do you one better. I think that elementary education is the place where you start this. Like, when I went to the Catholic school that I went to, hated homework, hated everything, hated the class, hated. Tested like top 2 in Pennsylvania. right? My school had one of the top 2 ratings for the test that we took in Pennsylvania.
Really?
Right. So one was Rena Ayuang, the small Vietnamese girl who was both beautiful and brilliant, and dipshit. Right?
Really? Look at you.
The principal of the school actually called me in, and that was normal.
And
so I was like,
you cheated off the
no,
Vietnamese girl.
she said to me, she goes, so we got our scores back. And I'm like, uh-huh. She's like, Rena did really well. I'm like, well, it's Rena. She's awesome. It's like, whatever.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, like, okay. Are you trying to shame me? No, I never said that. That wasn't a real thing when I was a kid. There's no shaming. You just got your ass kicked or whatever.
Worst
Yeah. Should I just leave? Want me to cut the grass? And she's like, you got the second. And I was like, huh. And she's like, what are we not doing? And that's what I told her. I was like, I'm bored. And she was just like, we don't know what to do with bored. And I'm like, I'm bored. And like now.
Huge problem.
Fuck, man. Listen to this. If I were little 10-year-old me right now with the internet and AP programs and all that, you thought Hitler was bad. Holy shit, I would run this whole motherfucker. There is no reason you have the world's knowledge at your fingertip, and these dipshits do cat memes and Facebook. Fuck you. Yeah. Take over the fucking world. This is so easy.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy.
I know.
I had to learn this shit.
Yeah.
You fucks have it at your goddamn fingertips.
All the time.
And the only thing you can do is talk about the fucking Kardashians and the goddamn fuck you. Yeah. And these fucktards vote. And I'm like, nah, dude.
Yeah.
Nah. It's amazing to me.
I think that's interesting to think about just how much easier everything is with the internet. I mean, think about whenever if 20 years ago you wanted to open up a store.
Right.
You had to pay rent. You had to have employees.
Right.
You had to buy an inventory.
Right. Had to get a POS system. Had to figure something out. Now I just get my phone to do everything.
You can do everything. You can open up a Shopify account and have a drop ship company that makes
Done.
money, and you don't even have to freaking do anything.
Sleep till noon.
Yeah.
Money for nothing and your chicks for free.
To think that there's nothing to do. You build a website. You don't build it and they come. And that's part of everything that we're constantly learning is the ever-changing marketing world now with social media.
Oh.
It's amazing how much, I mean, I was reading, what did I read? Was it U.S. World Report or AP? But somebody just did a study that said that only 40% of teenagers watch television.
That's nutty.
It's
but there's nothing on TV. Have you watched TV lately?
Well, you're right. You're right.
I agree with those people, even though they're not agreeing with what I agree with.
Yeah.
It's like,
but think about all these companies that spend all this money
advertising.
Yeah,
no, it's insane.
And only 40% of teenagers are watching it. And then here's the other kicker. How many of that 40% are watching it on DVR and fast forwarding the commercials?
Right, no, exactly. I mean,
nobody's watching it.
No, there's nothing. So marketing, as far as that's concerned, is crazy. Like, and honestly, that's like, you know, when you watch your favorite YouTube channel and you're like, fucking commercials. Yeah. You're still getting crushed. Yeah. Still getting crushed. Like, you have to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah. How annoying is when YouTube, you watch videos on Facebook? Mm-hmm. Of course you do. Everybody does.
Sure.
How they interrupt the video in the middle of it to put a freaking ad. If I was advertising on Facebook and had video ads on Facebook, I would specifically request that they don't interrupt people's videos.
Right.
I stop watching the video.
Right.
It's like, okay, I really don't care what happens to this cat.
I just don't fucking care.
I'm not going to sit through
now I'm annoyed because my 15 seconds has been wasted, and I'm never going to get them back.
15 seconds of a State Farm commercial to find out what happens to this cat. Fuck it, I'm quit.
Okay.
So you hang up.
Let's go same respect on that one. Remember when the internet was invented?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this instant gratification that we're in part of right now.
Yep.
Are we part of the problem?
Yes, we are. We absolutely are. We absolutely are.
But goddamn you kids, when I was your age.
We walked 30 miles uphill both ways.
In the snow. That's right. Goddamn. No shoes. But like,
I want to know who decides now. Do you realize that kids get off school because it's too cold now?
Oh, yeah. So, like...
It's too cold.
We actually... No, listen. When it was below 0, they would give us a 2-hour delay.
Maybe.
No, I would get them.
Okay.
I would get
below 0.
Below 0.
Right.
Now, if someone gets shot in Wisconsin, the entire state of Pennsylvania has the day off so that we can all...
Just be safe.
Be okay. We want to be with our parents that we don't like and not talk to each other and stay on your phone.
Be in our state. Listen. My wife's a teacher, and I'm like, she's like, oh, I got the day off. I'm like, why? There's no snow. She's like, it's 16 degrees. Who gives a shit?
16 degrees, I'm in a T-shirt.
Do you have a coat? What do you mean? Well, it's too cold for the kids. Do you have class outside?
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
You have like
go to school.
Is there a dog sled team that can maybe rescue those poor children?
I'm lucky enough to have a wife that's a teacher. What do people do that work? The two parents at work. Oh, there's a 2-hour delay. Well, my boss isn't going to be okay with me showing up 2 hours late. What do you do?
Let me put it this way. When I was a senior, I think we had 100 and some days in school.
180 days.
Whatever it is. I actually missed like 83 days my senior year. But... No, listen. Once again, bored. Fuck you, education system. Uh-huh. And so the secretary at the main office called me in, and she was like, Parise, you missed like 80 some days. I'm like, uh-huh. And she was like, you're not going to graduate. And I was like, whew. I was like, what do I do?
Whoa, wait a second.
Yeah. And she was like, well, they're unexcused. And I was like, so if they're excused, does that work? And she was like, and she handed me, remember the old DOS printout? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Holes on the side and everything. And she handed me this fucking piece of paper, and it was like 18, 20 inches long. I was like, holy shit.
I missed a lot of days.
Right. So I go home to my mom, and I didn't miss them all, but I mean, I didn't miss any of them. Right? So it was, I walk home to my mom. I didn't walk home. I walked in my house with my mom, and she was like, and this was like 2 weeks before I was going to graduate. That, and I had to find my driver's ed book from freshman year. I found that. That was fine. And I handed a note to my mom, and she was like, what the hell's this? And I was like, these are my unexcused absences. And she was like, why do you have unexcused absences? I was like,
handed her, no, you act like it's a note. It's
right.
A printout that's like a
it's
book.
A legit
it's a book.
5 pages of DOS
you
printout.
Bring in a case of paper.
Yeah,
right.
Of all the dates.
Yes.
So my mother, God bless her, because she knew at this point that she had created a man, and it was her fault that I was the man I was.
A monster. Right.
She was Frankenstein. And she just basically copied all the dates from that paper onto a sheet of loose leaf and said, Dear Mrs. X, I won't mention your name even though you're awesome. And she said, please excuse Josh for all the dates. He wasn't feeling well. And I was like, that we're doing? She's like, what are we supposed to do, Josh? And I was like, no, that'll work.
So that made them excuse.
And I walked in and I handed it to the poor, beautiful, wonderful secretary of our high school. And she was like, Parise, get the fuck out of my office.
And don't miss another day.
Don't come back. And I was like, I will not.
See, I was a chicken shit in high school. I didn't skip. I never skipped a day class. So I skipped one. Listen.
Senior skip day?
Senior skip day.
You're such a tool.
So I am. But here's my class, my graduating class. I hated them all. Sorry. I hated them all. I didn't get along with many of them.
Don't put me on the shoot list.
Most of the people that I hung out with were either a year older or a year younger.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just didn't really get along with my class, and to this day I'm not really friends with many of them.
Yeah.
A couple I still talk to, but
sure.
That's it. So, and I graduated with like 87 kids. Okay.
Oh, so we had like 600
super
or something
small.
like that. Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, my class, we were like rebels, man. So everybody's senior skip day, it started going around. The administration found out when senior skip day. So they called all the parents and said that we understand that it's supposed to be senior skip day. If your kids don't come into school, they risk not graduating or not being allowed to go to prom or something like that, okay? So listen, 2 people in our class went to school that day.
Oh, shit.
It was outrageous. I drove by because I'm like, I want to see how many people
this
actually.
This is amazing.
I'm like, there's no cars here.
Yeah.
there was like 2 people in my class of 87 that actually went to school. It was tremendous.
Yeah.
It was great. And what are they going to do? Not let us graduate?
Well, no, they can't. There's nothing. There's a point where you, as a young adult, say, "I have power."
Yeah.
Same as we as Americans can be like, if 50,000 of us say no, or 100 million of us say no.
Yeah, and here's me. I've never missed a day. You know, I mean, my attendance was almost perfect.
God bless you, man.
So like,
did you get like extra stars on your
No.
certificate of accomplishment?
So, and anybody that's watching this on a video, they're gonna go, yeah, that makes sense. So the one class in my senior year that I did skip was phys ed. Fucking hated it. Okay, I did. But part of the fact that I was a little bit of a nerd, I really got along with some of the people that would hang out and volunteer at the library. Okay?
Yeah.
I wasn't one of the people that volunteered too much at the library, but I hung out with them people, okay? So I would go into gym, get changed, line up, roll call, go back in the locker room, put my clothes back on, and I'd go up to the library.
No, that's fantastic.
Okay? Every day.
I can't tell you the amount of sex I've had in the AV room, and I was not in the AV club, but I was friends with all of the AV guys.
Perfect. So was it the guys that you were having sex with?
No, not
okay.
at that particular time.
Okay.
But, college was something, and I had to do what I had to do, and we all learn who we are.
So
Stuff.
Senior year, I did that for like the first half of the year, and I worked at a Little Giant Eagle here in Oakmont. Nice. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I love that Django. They need to bring it back so I can never leave Oakmont again.
It was great. I worked there for a couple of years, and I'm walking back into the break room, and standing at the deli is the phys ed teacher who, God rest his soul, he passed away a few years back. I actually live across the street from where he lived. I'm friends with his son, and his wife still lives there. They're tremendous. He goes, Kenna, get over here. I'm like, what's up, Mr. Kappa? He goes, where are you going when you're supposed to be in my class? I said, the library?
Education.
He goes, is Miss Black okay with you being in the library? I'm like, yeah, I kind of help her out. He's like, listen, I don't want to hear any shit that you're getting into trouble when you're up there when you're supposed to be in my class. I'm like, okay. He goes, I got you. You're good. So I walk away. So there was a rumor, okay, that the only people that ever got good grades, good A's in phys ed were football teachers or football players because Mr. Kappa was the head football coach.
Sure.
I got an A in phys ed.
Hey.
And I didn't even have to go back for roll count anymore.
So here's the thing. You weren't causing trouble. No. He recognized that was not your forte. You know what I mean? But here's the problem. Like educators like that know what's up. And they were allowed to do shit like that. Like now, there'd be a fucking you.
Oh, I don't know if he was. I don't know if he'd have gotten in trouble for that or not, but he knew I wasn't getting in any trouble, and he knew that of all people, like Miss Black, she held it down. She held down the fort.
Right.
I mean, you weren't going to go up there and screw around. And she said, and his basic point was, I don't want to hear from Miss Black that you're up there causing trouble.
Right. You're being a dick. Just don't
be a dick.
Go
do whatever you want. So I didn't even have to go back for roll count anymore. I'm like, well, I don't need gym clothes anymore.
Oh, thank God. Right.
Yeah. I didn't have to bring that shit anymore.
I always thought gym was like funny and like, cause I failed twice to gym because I didn't go.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I was on the football team and I was.
Meanwhile, you're like a jock.
Right. I'm a super jock. Yeah. Fucking bro douchebag. Right. So like, but I didn't want to do water polo. That wasn't really my thing. So like, but then again, I went to Fox Chapel. We had the fucking Olympic pool and the planetarium. Jesus Christ. You want to talk about going, like people used to make fun of it. They would say it was Fox Chapel 15238. Right? Like the 90210 crap. And it was legit, dude. Like I dated girls that had BMWs. I did the whole thing. Like I enjoyed myself. Like no one understands what kind of experience I actually had at Fox Chapel. Like, and don't get me wrong, alma mater, woo, go Foxes. But fuck me, dude, you could do whatever you wanted. Like, you was legit do whatever you wanted.
See, it's funny because a lot of people think that that Fox Chapel and Riverview and you have these schools that have a little bit of money, and that bad things don't happen there.
Oh, no, my God. Bad things flourish there. Because you can taste all of them.
Now, because there, the kids can afford all the best drugs.
Oh, my God. Their parents write scripts. Like, we had people, the students were stealing their fucking doctor father scripts, and we would get whatever we wanted. It was amazing. Like, I guess that's part of the reason I was bored when I got to college. I was like, oh, I've already done this.
Yeah, you've already lived
You guys are experiencing, and I'm already experienced.
Yeah.
And it was like
I'm an adult now.
Right. No, seriously, I mean, that's far from that.
You're still
But not, but I'm a well experienced young adult teenage
Man-child.
person. Yeah,
Right.
man cunt.
Child.
Big man cunt. That's what I am, yeah.
That's the first C word to drop on the
exactly.
podcast, by
the first
You
one.
are the first one.
I'm sorry. But that describes a lot of shit. But yeah, like when I tell people what it was actually like to go to school, and don't get me wrong, they're all wonderful, and I still have friends that are teachers there that were brilliant individuals that actually changed my life.
Yeah.
People that I still talk to.
Right.
Like people that I would still associate with. Like these educators were phenomenal educators. But they were set up to fail. We were set up to do whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
Like it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and I tell people what I experienced in high school, and they were like, nah. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
That's what I can remember. Like, you know, and it's like, it was insane. So, like, I guess, so let's go with that. I'm Joshua Parise, and I had a single mother, and I went to Fox Chapel, and the world is my oyster.
Yeah.
And that is really, honestly, to Christ, exactly what is going on right now, which freaks me out, too. Trust me. Like, there's no reason that things should be going my way, and they always just do.
Golden horseshoe.
It's fucking A. It's horrible, man.
Or it could be a work ethic and dedication.
Don't say things like that. They'll discourage the millennials that are listening to your fucking podcast. I watched one YouTube video, and now I'm a millionaire.
Yeah. That's right. I want a Ferrari. I slept till 11 this morning, but I think I deserve one.
I did one crunch.
Yeah. So now I'm on YouTube
Yeah.
telling people how to
do crunches.
fitness model.
Exactly. It's amazing. But you know what's sad about that? 10,000 dipshits will subscribe to that channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Stop being dipshits.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But like we joke about that too. Like these guys, like the younger guys, they grew up with like Power Rangers and Pokemon and doing all this shit. Mm-hmm. And I literally grew up with the Dukes of Hazzards, the A-Team, Knight Rider, MacGyver, like dudes that were like, oh, we're in a pickle. Let's do something that we can do to get us out of this pickle.
Yeah.
And like, so my entire life I've been getting out of pickles. Honestly, Ferris Bueller's Day Off changed my entire life.
Because you just stopped going to school.
I realized that I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, however I wanted, wherever. Like, you have no idea. Like, everyone's like, oh, Breakfast Club. No, Ferris Bueller. I'm still a John Hughes guy. But the fucking point is, man, like, there comes a point in your young adult life where you have to say, I'll buy in or I'll cash out. And you just have to be like, all right, and just see what the world brings you. Like, I don't think anybody should go to college at 18. That's stupid.
It's exactly how I feel.
It's dumb.
I think that at 18, you are not ready to make that decision.
No, and you're definitely not ready to be persuaded by the influence of your parents who mean well, or the universities who mean to fuck you. And you're not even in a place in your head yet where you're getting over the fact that you just saw a boob, and like you know, like whatever, you know, like emotionally, physically, chemically, you're not ready to make that kind of decision. And many people will bite me in the ass for this, but like that's the point in a young adult's life where you're just like mandatory to your service. Now, am I telling you go into the Marine Corps and fucking get on the front line? No. I'm saying go join the goddamn Peace Corps. Join the fucking National Guard. Go join Habitat for Humanity. That's where we need to institute shit that's like serve unto others before you service yourself, young man. You know?
So you're actually saying that you feel like they should even just some sort of community service.
Any type. Yeah. I would prefer that they go to other countries and to see what the actual world looks like.
See how good we have it.
Yeah, no, I won't say that.
No?
See
how others
see
live.
what it's like over there, understand what needs to change over here. So I don't want you to go away and be like, America's the greatest. We are not the greatest. We're the greatest as far as I'm concerned, because I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that fucking effort. But we're fucked up. Like check your backyard before you complain about your neighbors. Like, we have a lot of shit that we need to correct. But if you can go overseas and you can see how things work and you can say, oh my God, that's fucked up. And then you come over here and be like, why are we doing the same thing that fucked up country's doing? Because we're doing a lot of the same shit.
Yeah, we are.
You know, like educational systems, fucking.
We're following the path of a lot of countries that are already
that are failing.
They're failing.
flying and dying. Yeah, and it's like, and like I said before, a lot of the stuff you see the successful countries doing, Sweden and places like that, and then God be it, they're socialist, and I get it, and I am not about socialism, but like it's a lot of programs that we introduced and abandoned that other countries picked up, and they're like, yep, works, and I'm like, why didn't we do that? And then you got to think about the political system and the lobbyists, and I can't, like I told you, we can do another 3 hours on that nonsense.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I've doing one of the people that I've been watching a lot, especially learning about the whole podcast system and kind of getting a little bit of inspiration has been Joe Rogan.
No,
right?
He's just
who's
he's a goddamn badass, and
yeah.
B, he's funny as shit.
When
he tore that white girl apart for heckling, I lost my shit.
His podcast is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Now, the reason why one of the people that he has had on there several times, who's become like really one of those people that you look at and you're like, holy shit, he's right, is Jordan Peterson. Have you ever heard of him?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been listening to a lot of Jordan Peterson stuff, and some of the stuff that he says, the regular media is like, blasphemy. He's crazy.
Right.
But when you put him on a show like Joe Rogan's show, when it's long form, and he has an opportunity,
to defend
live,
his actual opinion,
he can just have a conversation
or present. Yeah,
exactly. And now all of a sudden you watch it and you're like,
when you understand that we are in a society where, and it has been this way for generations, that common sense is an uncommon virtue, then you really. You get to the thing too, is like somebody can say one thing and then social media trashes that one person, and then the context is gone.
Yep.
It's gone. It's gone.
And actually, even take social media out of it, the media does it.
Well, if you watched the Ricky Gervais, the latest one,
no,
it's fucking hilarious, because like he goes into the same thing where he's talking about like, look, I don't hate people with cancer. That's stupid. Cancer's a bad thing. Jokes about cancer are still funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, because we got, like, for the last 10 years, you have these comedians that won't do college tours anymore because they're like, you bunch of goddamn snowflakes aren't fucking getting
Everybody takes offense of everything.
Right. When you are going to champion a cause that is not your own, I hope to Christ the next generation is get the fuck over yourself. Can we do that? You're having kids now, right?
I am.
Can you make them generation get the fuck over yourself?
Yeah. That's my goal.
Yeah, don't fail.
Yeah.
I'll remember this conversation. The internet is forever.
The internet is forever. My kids are going to watch this in 10 years. Sorry, kids. No, they're going to.
Sorry that Josh dropped the C word.
Yeah, forget about that. And we're still at the point where if somebody swears on a movie, we go.
Like you fast forward the sex scene on Top Gun. Yeah. I had that.
Yeah, no, you got to teach them hard work and an ethic, and there's no such thing as entitlement. And if you're not willing to work for something, you're not going to get it.
But I literally had this conversation the other day. I was like, a good friend of mine got offered a job that she cannot stand, and I was like, you don't like the job, but you got offered the job. I was like, and they're going to pay you well to do it. And she's like, well, I don't want to do it. I was like, what are you going to do instead of that?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, why don't you do what my grandparents told me to do and have one job you're working on and 3 jobs you're lining up?
Right.
What's wrong with that?
Right. You're
going to do shitty jobs. Like, everyone looks at me, and I'm a very young 42, and I hang with 25-year-olds. This is what I do, right? And it keeps me young because I don't want to talk about my knees and my shoulders and my blah, blah, blah. I just work out and I do my thing. But, like, these guys, like, they don't understand the concept. I'm like, dude, you're 25. You're going to do stupid shit for the next 10 years.
And you're so young, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter. Like, everyone looks at me and, like, you do whatever you want. And I was like, yeah, I did. However, the first 35 years was me breaking my fucking balls, doing shit, and to include the Marine Corps, doing shit that you'll never do to make sure you can complain about the shit you don't want to do. Shut the fuck up. Just, if you are 20 to 30, shut the fuck up. That is my basic point right now. If you are 20 years old or 30 years old, in between both of those, shut the fuck up. Keep working, work hard, try hard.
Yep.
Figure it the fuck out.
They could literally do nothing for 10 years
yeah.
and they're still okay.
Right. Shut the fuck up. That's all there is. Like, you're not entitled to an opinion. Right. And then the Marine in me is like, oh, you've never served? You don't get to vote. But that's not real. And I get that.
Yeah. you don't get a vote.
Yeah, exactly. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Go on. We could do this for 9 years. What do you want to do? What do you want to talk about next?
We could go on and on.
You want to talk about how depressed I am that Toys R Us got closed? Do you want to talk about that?
So that takes us to a business discussion.
It does.
What did Toys R Us do wrong?
Brick and mortar on a fucking majority. You can't have that kind of stock. Can't. It's a specialized situation. You have to cater to the niche markets.
Adapt, right?
I mean, but think about it, man. I grew up in Children's Palace. Like, we had Children's Palace, and that was in Monroeville, and that was right next to the Toys R Us. Toys R Us put Children's Palace out. So, yeah.
Remember KB Toys?
Yes, absolutely. And KB Toys used to be a massive, and then it became a mall novelty because they knew they were closing. It's one of those deals. You get to see your market. You got to find your market. You got to lock your market in, and do the whole thing. And the brick and mortar version, once video games took over, it was imminent demise of obvious brick and mortar toy stores because, like, a lot of kids don't play with toys. Like, legitimately, if Toys R Us wanted to succeed, they would have closed the large brick and mortars and they would have gone to the collectors, and they would have opened niche stores the way that KB tried to survive.
And if KB would have had access to the internet like we have now, they probably would have survived.
Exactly. So Toys R Us survives by saying large brick and mortars shut down. We're catering to the collectors because we're all out there. I'm one of them. Douche boy fan bag. You know, I mean, like, I'm in. I love this shit. I will spend money on toys. Like, I have a Gen 1 Optimus Prime. You know,
do you really?
Oh, it's worth like $1,000 now. It's stupid.
So if you look at Toys R Us's business model and Toys R Us, Babies R Us, whatever, Kids R Us, all of them,
failure to adapt.
Yeah, failure to adapt. They refuse to adapt their marketing strategy to online. They refused to adapt their delivery services to online.
Yeah,
it was just, and it was too little, too late.
You can't.
You can't.
And even you and I, as adult males, we want instant gratification. So, like, when I look at a Toys R Us, I don't go to the catalog. Their website sucks. I go in there. I go into Toys R Us so I can smell Toys R Us. Yeah, right? It's like going into a Barnes & Noble. You're like, books.
Yeah.
These are awesome.
But here's the thing. How many people are buying books on Amazon?
No, you're not. I
Kindle.
Right.
They're going out of business too.
Exactly. I'm to blame because I'm Audible and I am Kindle and I do my thing.
And our generation, though, is not. Our generation still remembers the smell of a Toys R Us.
But here's the thing. So the people that are in charge of these large conglomerates need to understand that we are nostalgic as fuck.
Yeah.
So give me the one tiny location that smells like new toys or books. Do that. Provide the brick and mortar that we all want as adults where we're like, I just want to go buy something now. Because we will buy something now. That is no problem. We will buy something now. But you have to move your entire franchise into this digital vortex where you're like, we provide X, Y, Z instantaneously. But you have to cater to the guys that are going to spend money. Look, if you have it in store, I'm going to go to the store and buy it. If you don't, I'm going to buy it online. But I would rather go to a store and smell nostalgia. And I would rather feel the pages. But
look at all the brick and mortar stores that have gone out. You've got, Circuit City.
Yeah,
I worked at Circuit City in college. And even toward the end of it, I can tell you that a lot of times people would come in and they'd get their research and they'd talk to they'd talk to the sales rep that knew what they were talking about, and they'd go home and order it on Amazon. So
you're there to make me feel better about my online purchase.
Yeah. So the world has changed so much.
But isn't there a way for them to cater to that? Isn't there a way to have a store that has informed individuals? Because I learned that in the landscaping industry, people can buy the same pump from me, or they can spend $30 less online. But they come to me because I tell them how to set it up, and I give them the parts they need to do that, and I tell them what to do. So I think part of that is you're missing the service industry, and that's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at. If Toys R Us has a brick and mortar that's 30 by 30 and it still smells like toys, I'm still going to go shop there. I'm still going to buy my stuff online. I'm still going to do all this crazy shit.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the big difference here is the customer service.
Right. Give me the customer service.
Yeah, you gotta have somebody there that really takes the time with
And
the customer.
gives a fuck about what they're actually talking about.
Yeah.
I don't need an 18-year-old that's like, yeah, I don't make even minimum wage. Like, do you do, but do you even know what?
Do you want the extended warranty?
Shut up.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah. No, I get it.
in 3 years, I'm
that's-
going to make $1 million because I'm going to be an engineer. Okay,
Yeah.
good for you.
But it's a lesson that can be learned from all angles because like think about I have a client that when I very first started that was a TV repair company, okay, and hopefully they don't listen to this, but it is what it is. They're a TV repair company. They were struggling, but the TV business was changing,
Right.
and people weren't fixing their tube TVs anymore. They were replacing them with LCDs.
Right.
And it's not that they couldn't necessarily fix an LCD. It was that nobody fixes them anymore because they're disposable.
Right.
They work for 5 years and then you throw them in the
It
garbage.
is exactly what it is.
You've changed. The TV business has changed from something. I mean, when I was growing up, I remember the console TV at my grandmother's house was 30 freaking years old.
Right.
That doesn't happen
Big
anymore.
monster with speakers on the outside.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The grandma would be like, hey, go change the channel. And here I go. I'm getting up to change it.
Click, click, click.
Yeah. And the thing was 30 years old. It was outrageous. Now, these TVs don't last 3, 4, 5 years. They're disposable.
Well, that's what people used to tell me. They're like I'd go to buy a new TV, and I'm like, I'm gonna get that one. They're like, why? I was like, because it's $1,000. And they're like, but you can get the 12,000 and 2080 BDD blah blah blah. And I'm like, look, dude, the TV I had last time weighed 400 pounds, and this thing is on the wall. I was
This
like,
is going to be 1,000 times
that'll
better
be
than
better.
Yeah, this is 1,000 times better than what I got rid of.
Better.
And it'll last me
I
5
will
years. And I'll buy
personally continue to be 2 years behind the market.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'm not going to walk into a Dodge dealership and pay $60,000 for a brand new truck. That's insane. 2 years from now, I can buy one for $25,000. That's stupid. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, why would anyone do that?
Yeah.
But they're all like, oh, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy this $8,000 TV with a Kurt. It's not going to last. Who gives a shit?
Josh, I just bought a new truck.
No,
take it easy.
I get you, buddy. I get you. Sometimes the math works out in your favor. But what I'm saying to you is there's no way I'm going to spend $60,000 on what is $2,000 worth of upgrade from a fleet vehicle at $22,000.
You know, it's funny.
It's not real.
I'm not going to put it out to the public because my friend would be upset.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking to a gentleman that works for GM, and he told me what the price difference was, the cost difference between an SLT Sierra, GMC Sierra, and a Denali, and it is staggering.
No, it's stupid.
It is so little money.
You know that extra cup holder? $2,000.
It's like a $6,000 package. And
Right.
I can assure you
Right.
it's nowhere near
It's
that.
ridiculous, man.
But
It's insane.
I bought one. Sorry.
No, but
I
you're
get
part of the problem.
I know.
It's-
I am part of the
But
problem.
no, I wouldn't. I would rather buy a 1983 Dodge
What year's your Bronco?
94.
94.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. What year was OJ's?
94.
Yeah. This is black though.
I told you, I'm the ebony to his ivory. It's the
I love
greatest Bronco ever made.
I love it.
No, I won't say that because the 70s is a really good Bronco. But like, yeah, like I won't. Vanessa breaks my balls on this all the time. She's like, "Go buy a truck." I'm like, "No, I won't." She's like, "Go buy a truck," and I'm like, "I will not pay $50,000 for a truck that'll be worth $30,000 in less than 2 years."
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. Okay. So, and I'm gonna slightly defend myself,
Go ahead.
but trucks are weird. So
I will slightly reject your defense.
yeah, I'm okay with that. So trucks are so weird. They don't depreciate it as fast. And I lease. I lease, running through the business
cool.
and all that.
I get it.
And the amount of money that these dealers are getting for used trucks, it's outrageous.
Oh no, that's the problem. I remember my first buddy bought the GMC, whatever it was, the Z series. Was it Chevy Z?
Chevy Z71.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
He paid $50,000 for a truck.
When was that?
1999.
Oh, that's so much money back then. Now you can barely get a work truck for that.
But here's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. Before this, a work truck was like $8,000.
Yeah.
You rolled your own windows down. You didn't have a CD player. $8,000
I don't have
for
a CD
the
player.
same exact fucking truck.
Yeah, with fancy seats,
What?
leather seats.
Uh,
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it.
I will buy a $10,000 fleet vehicle.
Is your Bronco an 84 or a 94?
94.
94.
Let's be real now. It's a 94.
Yeah.
It is the greatest thing that 1994 ever had to offer.
Yeah, I could. My dad had a 94 Ford Escort station wagon. It was green with a 5-speed.
Yeah.
It was awful.
No, this one
Sorry,
wasn't.
Dad.
This wasn't that.
This is awful.
So if you can imagine the most luxurious soccer mom vehicle available in
The
1994.
Bronco. Civ leather.
No, I have cloth seats.
Cloth
Fuck
seats.
you, bro. I'm a realist.
Realist. You don't sit on a cow.
Hey, you know what? There was no rust and it was perfect, and I got it for $6,000. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a truck that guys, men, can we say men? Men look at her like
Cool.
there is no adult male in the universe that doesn't drive by my truck and goes and looks to the left. Do you know what I mean? And it's not an ego thing. It's just a fucking truck I wanted. And it's fucking awesome, and it's always done well, and it's good. But they're all driving like they're Mitsubishi fucking hybrid fucking.
Oh,
I can't. But they
can't
all
do it.
look at my truck like
because they wish they were back in the day.
right,
in
and
those
just
days.
fucking buy the truck. It's a great truck. I get 12 miles to the gallon, Jerry.
I don't get much better than
You
that.
know where I go? The 6 miles I travel. What I have learned in my vast experience of world culture and travel and bullshit, and I have it, it's not nonsense, is that much like Gladiator, Rome is the light, the rest of the world is dark. And I have found that about Pittsburgh. This place has been, I never wanted to come back to Pittsburgh, ever. I was like, nah, I'm good. I was going to go to fucking Austin or Portland. I would play guitar and be a weirdo and just do whatever. And my wife found this fucking house, and she said, it's in New Kensington. I was like, well, we can buy a lot of stuff, but not a house in New Kensington.
But it was Plumboro.
Well, no, it's Plum. I didn't know that. But but when I got back here, I was like, fuck, man, we have really good food. We become like this little mecca of weirdness. We are the Portland of the fucking East, and we don't even know it.
Yeah.
Like this is a phenomenal place.
Great city.
Yeah, and like I used to see the young guys that work with me, like, I just want to get the fuck out of Pittsburgh. I was like, yeah, I get it. And I agree. You should leave Pittsburgh for 5 years. And then you should come home.
See how good you have it.
And be grateful.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I've not left. I've been in Pittsburgh my whole life, but I like it here, and I think that I think we take so much for granted. You drive downtown, you go through the Fort Pitt tunnels, you come out of that tunnel into the city, and it's like,
oh, that view. That I specifically ordered night flights when I would come home when I was in the Marine Corps.
Just for that view.
Yep. Just so I could be like,
I'm home.
Swear to God.
I think so many people take.
Oh, the
take
first
the
time
city
you
for
hear a
granted.
Pittsburgh girl go like you're like, how you doing? She's like, roll good. And you're like,
Roll
like, yeah, let's do this. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I think we take advantage. We take for granted what we have here, and I think that the city's tremendous. And
Well, you're in the age group where you didn't have this here. This happened while you were becoming an adult.
you're right.
When I left,
city's come a
this was
tremendous way.
not a real thing. This was like, let's go get a hoagie. And that's like it. And like, so I had no intention of coming back here. But when I did come back here, I was like, fuck, you have Thai food.
We've developed
Right.
so
Yeah,
much.
like,
One
you
thing.
ever been to Trams? That place is amazing.
Trams. Hell yeah, the pumpkin patch.
I-
Listen, when I grew up, every year for Halloween we would go and try to find the biggest goddamn pumpkin we could.
Nice.
Me and my little brother would get the biggest pumpkins we could. It was amazing, amazing part of the childhood. But we take so much for granted here. Like in visiting where my brother's going in the Air Force. I've seen all these cities, and one of the first city that he was in, that he lived in, was Columbus, Mississippi.
Never been.
Let me tell you what's in Columbus, Mississippi.
Air Force Base?
Absolutely fucking nothing.
There's an Air Force Base.
There's an Air Force Base. There's a couple barbecue shop places. There's a Belk.
I'll tell you what.
That's about
if there is an Air Force Base, there is barbershops, dry cleaners, and strip clubs.
Yeah.
I
didn't spend a whole lot of time in Columbus, and I definitely didn't venture to a strip club. But it was just, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And one of the true gems of Pittsburgh that I think we take for granted that you don't get many places is the strip district.
Oh, no, that was a hard sell to one of my friends who was moving from Baltimore. Like, we were like, Pittsburgh, and he had a job opportunity here, and I took him to the strip, and he was like, holy shit, is this like every weekend? I'm like, it's every day.
It's every day.
Yeah.
This is just
well,
think about it.
We have a phenomenal strip. Our strip district is great, and it's phenomenal. But when you leave a place like L.A. where you have the garment district, the floral district, and you're talking about a multi-million-dollar industry that happens in a fucking ghetto inside of L.A., like, they have a lot more to offer. But, like, people in Pittsburgh have never experienced that, so this is phenomenal. And I do not disagree that it really is phenomenal. You have the opportunity to have that. Like, strip district meats is amazing. Like, you want something, you're like, oh, shit, I need goat balls. And they're like, we got goat balls. I'm like,
there's a store there.
Who has goat balls?
There's somebody there that has them.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and think about whenever Pennsylvania Macaroni moved in, and Sinceri Brothers moved in, and that they were just opening up a shop to sell some
noodles and some olives.
Yeah. They've created this the strip. There's a strip district where we go down there. You get down there to prepare for a party. You go down there. Oh, you make a special occasion out of it. Hey, I'm going to head down the strip on Sunday and pick up some stuff.
Oh, yeah, and you got like people
Anybody
that want to go with you. Yeah,
let's
exactly.
Let's go to DeLuca's. Let's go to Pamela's.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll have breakfast. We'll go to the shops. It'll be a good time. You know?
I don't do all that. I get that pepperoni roll at the end.
Where?
It's really good. Wherever the fuck that is.
We're
after Holy's.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. The pepperoni bread is amazing. It's like $5. It's like,
do you want to have a debate on podcast? Is it Holy's or Woolies?
So it is Woolies.
Woolies.
And I say Holy's because everyone else does. It is also called Weigel because it's not Wiggle.
What's Weigel? Oh, the whiskey?
Whiskey.
Really? Yeah. Is that a fact? Because it is spelled Weigel.
Yeah, it's Weigel.
Why does everybody say Wiggle?
Because we're yins or fucks. And that's what we do down here.
Go 9 times. Get some wiggle.
I'm a war shot at. So seriously, like, do you know how long it took me to not be a yins or fuck?
Like, was that hard to shake?
No, so I never wanted to be one, and like, don't get me wrong, I love yins or fucks. Yins all are awesome, but like, I went to I was in L.A. at Camp Pendleton, and I was working on the place where the tanks were. They called it the strip, down there at the fucking. Anyway, I walked down to do some paperwork with a couple guys who go overseas, and I hear this fucking guy go, "Get down off there, goddamn fucking jag off, Yinzer, yeah, right?" And I looked at him and I said, "Hey, Staff Sergeant, where are you from?" And he's like, "The fuck you care?" And I was like, "No, seriously, like, what part of Pittsburgh are you from?" Pittsburgh. And he's like, "I'm from Sharpsburg." And I was like, whew,
yeah.
That is real close. I was like, how old are you? He's like, I'm whatever his age. And I was like, Dougie had the Mustang. And he's like, oh, yeah, Dougie's a good friend of mine. I was like, yeah, it's my brother. And he's like, holy shit, you're that little blonde-haired kid at the parties. I was like, yeah, I was like 4. And you guys were irresponsible, but that's awesome. Yeah. He's like, oh, my fucking God, I know you. And he's like, you had that birthmark on your face. I was like, I did have that birthmark on my face. It's amazing. But yeah, like in LA, I literally ran into a guy who grew up in my neighborhood in Pittsburgh.
Do you know another city with an awful accent?
Oh, Wisconsin. God.
Worse.
What?
And I want to apologize in advance to my sister-in-law. Baston.
Oh, Baston's fucking retarded.
Baston.
We go up there and they do things with the thing and the stuff and the yeah. No, but Wisconsin's worse. Because, like,
Wisconsin, like, we float that boat on the water. And then they say, like, things like Milwaukee. And I'm like, Milwaukee? Like, Milwaukee. I'm like, fucking pronounce, motherfucker.
Boston says wicked.
Yeah, no, wicked awesome.
Wicked. It's wicked, yo.
No, but check it out. So fucking Northern California also says wicked.
Wicked.
It's fucking horrible. I don't know how that happened. I think it's because a fucking bunch of skier fucking retards all crossed the trans.
Stupid word.
Yeah. Now, wicked's pretty fun. I'm good. That's
wicked
fucking
awesome.
wicked awesome.
No, but you know what? I think.
And I'll be in Boston next weekend with the horses.
Oh, will you?
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what I was going to say next.
Legit.
Probably one of the my favorite places in the country.
No,
not necessarily Boston.
I'd love to go
New
to Boston.
England,
I have to go to New Hampshire with the horses. I would rather stay in Boston without the horses.
See, I like New Hampshire. New Hampshire. We just went up there a couple weeks ago on a motorcycle trip.
The meaderies up there are amazing. Are you into meat at all?
Into meat?
Honey wine.
What? What are you saying?
Come on, man.
I don't even know what you're saying.
Fucking adult male. Everything you drink today is based on honey wine, which is mead. Mead is what created beer. Nah, not really. The Egyptians created beer. But the fucking point is, if you've not had mead, go ahead, try mead. Sap Meaderies in New Hampshire is one of the most fantastic. Holy shit.
Where in New Hampshire?
I have no idea. We're at some weird excluded fucking, we include horses campsite, and I just teach people to beat each other up. And then 2 minutes later, we're at Sap Meaderies, and it is amazing. It's
Will you bring me back some sap wine?
Oh, yeah. No, they have one that's in bourbon barrel. It's fucking so good.
I'm on a keto diet.
Okay. That
So
will not affect you. It's honey and alcohol. Did that sound stupid?
Carbs?
Well, of course, there's like...
I'll just have a little bit.
There's one carb.
I'll taste it.
There's one carb per serving.
All right, I'll have
and their serving is like 32 ounces.
No, we...
You can shove your keto up your ass. Try to not inhale 3,000 calories a day. That's all you got to do.
Well, you know what? Keto's work, dude. I'm 8 weeks or 10 weeks into this. I'm 43 pounds.
Look, what I'm not taking anything away from is your keto. But I'm saying if the human body as it exists is based on X amount of calories.
You're right. And a big part of it is...
remove X amount of calories.
Big part of it is I'm eating way less calories.
That's all you got to do.
It's way less.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
Math is math. Keto is great because what you're doing right now is forcing your body to kill itself. But what I'm saying is if you know you are accustomed to eating 3,000 calories a day, try 18.
That's, yeah.
And give it 3 months. Don't give it 1 month. Give it 3 months. Right. It's fucking... I can't... you know what?
Sound good.
But you would save the planet.
Sure.
Yeah.
I only have 2 cylinders.
I like global warming. Has anyone ever said that to you?
You know what? In the winter, I do.
Yeah, fuck yeah. It's like 75 here in fucking December. I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, but then
so it rains a little more in
this
June?
year. It's
I'm good.
When did it stop snowing in Pittsburgh this year? May.
March. Yeah.
It was fucking absurd. It was April. It was actually after tax season because usually
It was
like,
a little long because we had flurries at the end and we had that
flurries.
one little fucking dump here. Yeah.
We had a snowstorm after tax season.
All
this
I'm
year.
saying is 75 in December, I'm good.
I'm okay with it.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Fossil fuels, woo. Is that going to get you banned from the internet?
Says the guy with a 94 Ford.
Yeah, exactly. 13 to the gallon, bro. I'll fucking burn that shit.
You know what? I have a 2018 GMC Sierra, and I think I might get 18 miles to the gallon.
It's all good.
So
my pristine 1994 piece of perfection. The only reason no one likes that truck is because OJ ruined that.
I got news for you. There ain't nothing that came off Ford's assembly line that is categorized as pristine.
Look, I'm a Dodge guy from the jump. It just so happens that I have an affinity for 94 Dodge.
94 Ford.
I had a 72 Chevy Cheyenne, 10-foot Longhorn. That thing was beautiful.
That is a nice
truck.
truck.
That got 8 gallons or 8 miles.
8 gallons. 8 gallons to the mile.
Exactly. Like legit. Yeah. Oh, it was brilliant.
Yeah, buddy.
What else you get? Let's get into some real shit. What do you want to get into now? Do you want to get into aliens or Bigfoot? What do you want to do?
Aliens and Bigfoot.
I believe in both. Go on. If you believe the universe is so big that you are the smartest thing in it, then fuck yourself. Go on.
Dude, I think we covered it, man.
Really? Do we? There's nothing else? Come
else
on.
What else do you want to talk about?
I
How many cigars a day do you smoke?
2.
2?
4.
4.
Are you asking my doctor? 4. I actually told Mr. I was like, when I opened the shop next to him, I was like, I get 2 Churchills per day. That's it.
Included in the rent?
No, that'd be fuck. I didn't even think about that. That'd be awesome. No, I just told him he's not allowed to give me more than 2 a day. Because my wife is like, you smoke too much.
Yeah, I don't smoke that many, but I do have my share.
I can crush 4 regular size cigars a day without.
I don't know how you have time.
I do it while I'm yelling at people. It makes me look good, like,
Yeah.
Churchill or our guy.
Trump.
No, fuck you. World War II.
Roosevelt?
Nope.
Truman?
D-Day.
Truman?
No, it's not Truman. God. Patton. Thank you, Christ.
I thought
How
you were
could
talking
you
about-
not be a part of this?
I thought you were talking about the president.
No, fuck the presidents. Presidents are a figurehead junkie.
Yeah,
jackass,
Patton
but-
ran that fucking
Yeah,
show.
Patton was in. Yeah. So, yeah, 4 a day. 4 regular sized, or 2.5 to 3 Churchills.
Are you mainly smoking the smoking gun cigars at this point?
So here's the thing, man. Like, everybody comes in there and tells me about the newest cigar. I have to try this and I have to try that. And I'm not fiscally retarded. I can go ahead and I can afford a $30 stick. But then I buy a $30 cigar, and I instantly wish that I would have bought a really phenomenally priced house blend. And I don't know if it like maybe I'm biased, but I will try anything because I love to smoke cigars, and I'm like, this is awesome. But then you get to them, and it's not like I'm like a junkie. I love house blends. Bullshit. Like, when I smoke a $30 cigar and it does not draw as well as a $12 house blend,
And right.
that upsets the shit out of me.
Yeah, so I find myself 9 times out of 10, I'm buying the house blend. Now, occasionally, if I'm landed a big client or things are going good, I might spring for a Padron 64 or 26, right. And they're good.
They're good,
but
not
it's so
consistently
hard.
Good enough to quantify a $30 cigar. It's like when I'm smoking an $8.50 cigar that is superior to a $25 cigar, then why the fuck would I do that? That's just a matter of it's like the 1980s, you're wearing bass shoes and Dockers and you got fuck off. The really good cigar is So when I first learned about wines, right? Vanessa and I went to this winery and we became members of this winery and blah, blah, blah. And I was going to take her to Napa, and my travel agent was like, you live 30 minutes away from the best wine in California. And I was like, that's stupid. And she was like, no, Napa or Temecula.
That's where my brother lived for a few years. Yeah.
It's amazing. So what they found out in Temecula is they can grow the grapes that they can't grow anywhere else in Temecula. And she was like, when's the last time you've been in Temecula? And when I was in Temecula, it was one fucking titty bar and one country bar, and we drove out the back gate of fucking Pendleton, right?
What a town now.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a beautiful town. And I told her, I was like, yeah, fuck yourself. I was like, Temecula's a shit box. And she was like, no, it's not. So we went down there, and I joined this winery, and we did the whole fucking white girl thing and blah, 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 and whatever, and the whole bullshit. So we joined this one particular way, Churon Wineries, I think it was called.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
It's phenomenal. It's brilliant. It's like a mini mansion with 24 rooms.
Yeah.
So that's it. It's not a hotel. You have to be a member. You have to be a member to get a room. But it doesn't matter because they're fucking phenomenal. So we're sitting there at this wine tasting, and they had a brilliant fucking members wine tasting. They have the regular wine tasting like 2 to 5 or whatever. And the members wine tasting is from 6 till fucking I get tired. So we're at this members wine tasting, and this guy's going off on it. Oh, the blah, 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 the grapes and the fucking soil and the fucking sun and the moisture and the tannins. And he's like, and I'm looking at him like, fuck you, bro. Because all I want right now is a Coors Light, right? I'm like, whatever. And he looks at me, he's like, Have you had a wine you like? And I was like, yeah, I've had lots of wines I like. He's like, did you like it? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, buy that fucking one. He's like, the rest of it's all bullshit. I was like, huh.
Buy what you like.
I didn't see that coming. Then he and I proceeded to get wasted for like 9 hours, peeing off the deck of the winery onto the grapes. And just like, that winery is on me. I don't know if Robert works there anymore, but I'm so sorry if you got fired. And it's like, it's like, so we went down there and it's like, it literally is, and the olive oil companies down there, same thing, because olives grow there too.
Yeah.
Weird, right? And you go to these weird olive oil companies. We're doing shots of olive. Have you been to the olive oil company down here at Oakmont?
No, but I know the owners.
Fucking do it. If you have not been down there, that is exactly the treatment you get at the Temecula fucking olive oil company where we own trees. They are wonderful down there. Like, they let you taste whatever you want. I bought their bourbon balsamic. It is fucking fantastic.
That's Oakmont Olive Oil Company?
It really is. I swear to God.
Oakmont Olive Oil Company?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a .com on that or whatever, but you
just
should go there and hang
Google
out.
it. No,
Yeah.
I know the Carrolls that own it.
Yeah,
and,
but have you ever walked through Oakmont?
good people.
Have you ever walked through Oakmont?
Yeah,
There's a lot of
a lot of
fucking
cool shit here.
dude.
We have a nice little town here.
No, I literally used to make fun of people for living in Oakmont because I thought they had an inherent fear of bridges or moving water, and then when I moved here, I was like, God damn
It's perfect.
it! You don't need to leave.
I know.
One
So it used
grocery
to be-
store. One grocery.
I know. My wife and I just talked about that. How much it would be amazing to have a Whole Foods in town, but no,
Or a Trader Joe's.
a Trader
Bring a
Joe's.
Trader
Right?
Joe's in.
Yeah, it used to be that we would leave. Honestly, we'd leave to go eat. Because we'd go hit a Monroeville for a TGI Fridays,
Right, whatever,
or Olive
blah.
Garden, whatever, blah.
Yep.
But now we've got
There's
the
no
lot,
need.
the pub, there's so many good restaurants.
I
in this
don't
town.
personally go to carnivores anymore because I'm not 24.
You know what? I throw it back though, buddy.
Do you?
Sometimes their food,
Oh no.
lunches are good.
No, I'll drop in there when I'm like, I want the
Dude,
pizza with the cheeseburger pizza, the ultimate cheeseburger pizza. I'm like,
and